And and for me, I mean, I'm mostly bullish. Like almost everything I do is centered around the idea of, the market net going up over time. So I always, for me, I'm buckling down, taking it, um, trying to kind of hang in there and look for those opportunities to get going back when the market picks up, which of course it eventually will. But the red days are always tough for the portfolio, for some of the stuff that I do that's more active, that's on the bullish side. We'll talk about some of the things we do that aren't just net bullish today, because now's a good time to talk about that. But yeah, just chaos right now. The gold positions have been really doing well. I've continued to stack those, which have done quite well. And then some of the other kind of consumer staples and risk off assets have performed pretty well as well. Also, to me, still kind of crazy that Bitcoin keeps holding up better on these down days.
It's been doing that for a couple of weeks now. I mean, initially
Yeah.
when we had that sell off, we were at that 100, 105 range and it tanked from there. But since then, we've had some nasty, nasty days in the S&P, NASDAQ, and Bitcoin's still at where it was trading back then. So that to me is shocking as well, in a good way, a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like I said before, I'm not sure I'm ready to like go fully out on the limb and say Bitcoin is now finally transitioned into a store of value and all of that, but it like really seems like it's that transition is starting to happen. And a lot of times you can see that on the down pressure days more easily than the bullish days.
Oh yeah. Dave F playing some S triple Qs, S now SPXU. Nice. Good timing on that, Dave. But I'll go ahead and kick it off here with what I have for you guys. Again, biggest thing yesterday was the news right after the markets closed, about an hour after the markets closed. Uh, U.S. government banned Nvidia from selling their H20 chips to China for the indefinite future. Obviously, not good for Nvidia, not good for chip stocks. Stock tanked off the news. They're going to lose $5.5 billion in revenue. Not great for our good friend Nvidia, which is unfortunate. And I do have a pretty large stake in Nvidia right now. I bought it on the dip. I think I bought it at 94, so at least I'm still up on it. But it was looking a lot
Yeah.
prettier than it is right now today. So here's a look at the semiconductor ETF, which is kind of your basket of stocks in that industry. So Nvidia, AVGO, Micron, you name it. They're in there down 4% today for the semis. Obviously, not in a pretty trending market there, downtrending, very similar to what we've seen on Nvidia. Nvidia is now down over 6% today on the news. Again, it's funny. Somebody probably a year from now is going to look back and say, look, if you just traded the trends here, you could have easily made money on the way down when it's all news related. If inverse news came, Nvidia would have been way up here. So it's funny just to see how the news is actually somehow lining up with the channels here on Nvidia. Just to reiterate what I covered on Monday for my hedges, or I put the first one in quotes, my quote hedges. Uh, they're still holding strong. Progressive is up another percent today. It's been turning higher and higher. We bought it off that bounce on the 200-day moving average. Looking really good. It's up when the markets are down. Again, I think that's a safety play for a lot of investors because insurance companies do well in all sorts of market environments. But even bigger is gold. Again, gold is now outperforming the S&P since COVID, which alone is shocking. If you guys have been coming to the classes, if you've been paying attention, you know that gold often rallies uh, in pairs of 2 or 3 years in a row. So we talked about the early 70s, some of the best years for gold happened back to back to back. Late 70s happened back to back. The financial crisis, 2007, 2009, 2010, 3 of the 4 years had massive returns in gold, and we just had a big return last year in gold. And I think we're going to carry on with another huge year in gold this year. Now, at this point, if you're just now getting invested, you might be catching the end of the trend, but Goldman Sachs is saying it's not done yet. It's going to 3,700 by end of year with a high range of 4,500 to give you guys an idea. Gold's up 2.5% today. Look at this thing just skyrocketing on all of the bad, scary tariff news. Obviously, it's a safety play for a lot of investors. Our gold trade from Thursday last week's up 100% on the play so far. And gold is, again, at 3,300, which is shocking to me. I bought... Nate, I've been buying gold since it was probably 1,600 and just slowly adding to it. And every time I go in to buy, I always just jokingly say like, oh, I bet you I'm buying the top. I bet you I'm buying the top here. Probably buying the top here. And then it just keeps going.
Well, dude, Roger and a couple of other guys were giving me a little grief on the roundtable because I was still saying even when it was whatever we were at 29.90, I said I'm still buying, I'm still stacking, and they were saying like, "Geez, Nate, you're really going for the overextended tops here." But I think in this environment, one of the cool things about gold is that it has the cycle trend with it, like kind of the interest rate overall, like macro environmental cycle trend that I think is legitimate as a trend. And then on top of that, it has all this like, kind of news risk off flush liquidity going into it. So I think kind of getting a
Yep.
double whammy there.
Yep. So a beautiful breakout here in gold. It just keeps chugging higher and higher, and I'm loving it. Again, I'll say this again. I told you guys about a week ago I was looking to start taking some profits on gold. Haven't had a chance to do that yet, and thankfully I've been so swamped. Haven't had time to sell any of my gold, which has worked out. Okay, Nate, did you
Well,
have
let's get rolling. All right, folks, I'm going to do a little different. I mean, I have a couple thoughts here, but I don't want to get too in the weeds because I just want to cover more of a strategy trading today. A lot of you guys have asked a question because I'll say a lot of things about, hey, I'm starting to stack positions, and people have asked me, well, what does that mean? Does it mean you're going all in? Does it mean you're picking the bottom? Different stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of do a quick and dirty version of a strategy that I call investing 2.0. This is kind of a how do I actually get into positions and stack them. Full disclaimer, I'm usually pretty much bullish across the board. I have a couple things that I do that are not directional, which we'll talk about one at the end of the session today, which obviously I think is ideal for the current markets. But most of the stuff that I do is net bullish over time. I mean, I have the daily trade that I do, which on these market gap down just is brutal over these kind of stretches. I have other strategies that are like kind of longer time frame, and then I have my portfolio, which is almost always going to be bullish. But the idea here is to kind of do a twist on a portfolio. So one of the questions, like I said, I get it like, hey, are you buying now at a discount? We're down, 15%, whatever we're at right now after today. Are you starting to buy at a discount? And the answer is really yes and no for me. There are some things I'm starting to accumulate, but I don't have a ton of confidence like the bottom is in. Hey, we're all in. I did move the rest of my free cash on hand into my account to get ready to start accumulating, but I'm not at a point yet where I'm saying, hey, the bottom is in, we're stabilized, and I'm starting to buy. Mainly because I think there is not enough liquidity yet in the market, in my view, to really establish a bottom and a big run up. And so this is that insider buying chart that I keep showing you over and over and over again, really waiting to see, hey, are we going to step in and get some, liquidity from the institutions to get in this market and move us back to the upside. At the same time, I do think it's hard to go wrong starting to build a position on stocks you wouldn't have minded owning 10% higher, right? So this idea of buying at a discount, it is real. I would have been happy to own Nvidia at 120. Now it's cheaper. Would have been happy to buy, Meta when it was really at the all-time highs, to be honest. And same with Walmart and some of these other stocks. And now they're legitimately cheaper. So for me, if you're thinking of a portfolio approach, an investing approach, then I do think it makes sense to start accumulating and looking for opportunities. So today, I'm going to give you a quick and dirty rundown of what I call investing 2.0. So this is a way to use options to start building a bullish position at a lot less cost than buying up shares of stocks. And just to give you a couple reasons why I really like this idea and this approach, it has an incredible win rate over time. It has low drawdown, especially relative to owning stocks, outsized returns, systematic and easy to execute. It works on top stocks and indexes, so really most of the things that you're happy to buy and hold, you could apply the strategy to. Very low management effort, a couple minutes a week of management effort. Really, we don't care about news, technical analysis, earnings, all that stuff. We're not really even looking at the charts. So we're not taking into account all these factors and trying to, position ourselves and predict things. And then it's extremely scalable because the contracts are low cost, which means you can actually scale them up over time. And just to show you how insane this is, when you backtest this stacking idea, you look at something that does go up over time. Here's the SPY over the last decade. It's a pretty crazy chart when you look at, again, taking an asset that is bullish over time. Win rate here about 93%. Starting capital 10,000, ending capital 7 million. That's a 72,000% ROI. Obviously, that's an absurd result. And the S&P has been extremely bullish over the last decade. So I want you to take that chart with a very, very large grain of salt, knowing, hey, this is what happens if you legitimately stack on top of a asset that's going up. Now, to be honest, I was hesitant to even show the actual test because they're so insane. But I think it just shows this is how powerful. When things go up over time and you're leveraging the opportunity, things can outperform really well. So the big question is, how do we do this? How does a stacking approach actually work over time, and what are kind of the mechanical levers that you're pulling to do that? Well, what we're doing is we're using options on high quality assets to build a bullish position. So again, this is net bullish. It's looking for assets that we think are going to go up over time, not in the next week, not in the next 2 weeks or even 5 weeks, but over months and years. So we're not talking about aggressive, active options trading. We're using options as a substitute here to invest in high quality stocks with three specific goals. So goal one is less capital required. Goal two is lower drawdown over time. And then goal three, of course, is the much, much higher returns that we're going for. So if you wanted to build a traditional investing basket of high performance stocks like SPY, the Qs, Gold, Apple, Microsoft, Walmart, Amazon, Progressive, AGG, all stuff that I like, you'd need about 290 grand to grab 100 shares of each of those. So you just 9 assets there, you need a pretty decent sized portfolio to grab some shares of each. But with Investing 2.0, you can start stacking opportunities across all 9 of those with about $600 a week. Okay. And all we're doing to target those is twisting options in a unique way. Now, if you follow me, you probably already know that this is kind of my bread and butter, flipping options, trying to twist them in a way that creates different outcomes for how much you need a stock to move, how much risk you have, how to get out early with the profit target, all that kind of stuff. So this fits very much into that mold. It's just more of an investing approach compared to an active approach. So usually I'm using stuff like automated options, okay? Or I'm constructing even more aggressive trades using something like jump trades, where we're typically targeting around 200%. And trading this way has really changed the game for me and all of my students because it does completely change the dynamics. And I've gotten lots of feedback from people who have said, wow, just being able to flip an option around has completely changed the way that I trade. Lots of examples of these that we don't have to go into and read right now. But the point is, I think this is what works for regular people with regular accounts. And recently, I kind of had another aha moment going back to last year. If I was able to turn outright losing strategies into profitable outcomes just by twisting options the right way, imagine how effective they would be on something like buy and hold that already has a positive expectancy. So in other words, timing the market is really hard. And what I've been able to do is twist options to give myself an advantage. But imagine a buy and hold strategy, which already has a positive expectancy. And that's really where Investing 2.0 was born. So if you apply it to stocks that tend to go up, the numbers are really wild, like Apple and SPY, the QQQ, pretty crazy. Even Tesla, which is obviously extremely volatile, really has great performance with something like this because it still does go up enough over time. By the way, the drawdown is actually less using the options the way that we're doing them than even the stock itself. The stock, pulled back 70+% over the course of time, where we're looking at about a 16% drawdown using the options. So obviously, we're not just using regular options to leverage returns. We're using a specific structure, time horizon, and an ROI stack to stack a position. So we're stacking up the trade consistently. Now, for those of you who are automated options members, this will make perfect sense to you. But if you're not familiar with that strategy, let's just take a quick trip down memory lane. I'll recap the structure here, and then we can get into it. So what makes automated options so different and work so well is because as long as we get a very small move up in the stock at any point during the time that we're holding that position, the brokerage should automatically cash us out with a profitable trade. Even if the market was flat before, even if it drops after, doesn't really matter as long as we get a move at some point during the trade. And this was really the biggest breakthrough that I've ever had in trading because it allowed me to get paid from small moves in the stock whenever they happen. In other words, I didn't have to predict exactly when the market was going to move. As long as we got to move at some point during the trade, we were going to get out with profit, even when regular options would have lost 100% of their value. It doesn't matter what the fundamentals are doing. It doesn't matter what the talking heads are saying. It doesn't matter if the stock ends up finishing on the wrong side of our trade. As long as we get that move at any point during our trade, we're going to win. Okay. And the broker cashes us out automatically with the way that we set up these kind of trades. Now, if you want the short-term juicy gains, then something like automated options or jump trades, those are the most effective way to trade I've ever developed because you're in for an average of a week or even a couple days. If you get the timing right within that shorter time frame, you're going to hit a nice juicy win. But if you're thinking of starting to accumulate during this market environment for building a long-term portfolio approach, then investing 2.0 is a really powerful way to do this. So in other words, you're not trying to time a trade this week or next week. You're starting to think about building into a portfolio and accumulating. So let me actually ask in the chat right now. Let me take a quick pause here. How many of you, just give me a yes in the chat, are starting to think about buying at a discount or starting to build a bullish position on certain stocks? Because I know this has been a big question that I've been getting now for weeks. Are you starting to build a position? What do you like? Are you adding to positions? Stocks I talked about like Progressive, like Walmart, all these stocks that I like are pulled back. Are you starting to build? Okay, so Mike says yes, Paul says yes, Jim says yes, Joy, Deborah, yes, Dorlee, yes, Ralph, yes, Bill, yes, Karen, yes, James, yes, Chris, yes, Lewis, yes. Okay, so if that's you, if you're starting to build a position or at least think about building a position and you're kind of hesitantly stepping in, I think investing 2.0 and kind of using the stacking approach is a really powerful way to do this. So let me show you how this works. So in automated options, usually I need about a 1% move or so over the course of a 2-week period to nail around a 50% win. And you can see on a daily chart, that gives me about 10 candles, right? So I enter the trade. I need about 10 candles to get a 1% move over the course of that time frame. And according to our testing and my live trading, that happens about 75% of the time. So about 75% of the time over those next 10 candles, you're going to get a move. Now, of course, in the last 6 weeks, it's going to happen a lot less than 75% of the time because the market's been down. But over time, over years of data, around a 75% chance. Because thankfully, again, in spite of recent conditions, the market does tend to go up more than it goes down. So if you give it time, normally it hands you a move up, right? So the whole idea here is, hey, listen, if I try to time tomorrow's move, I could be right or I could be wrong. But if I give it some time, usually we're going to see the market make a move up at some point during that time window. Again, if I give it time. So what if I gave it more time, right? Instead of 10 candles, which is kind of an average trade for me, what if I actually gave it 45 candles, right? So the same idea here, you're getting into the trade, you kind of have this range where you need the market to move up, but instead of giving it 10 candles, what if I gave it 45 candles? That's a lot of time for the market to give us a move in the right direction, right? If you give it 4, 6, 7 weeks, now you're starting to give the market quite a bit of time to make a move in your direction. And it's why the new data shows a staggering win rate of about 95% on the S&P. And here's the best part. We're always recycling that 45-day window over and over. So when I talk about stacking, we're stacking a new position and we're recycling that window, giving our next opportunity more and more time, more and more time. So let's take a look at 2024. So let's just go through 2024. I'll try to give you more of a visual example of how this works. So here's the first trade, January 4th, 2024. Okay, there's a little diamond underneath that. That's our first trade, January 4th. It's a Thursday. And I need the SPY to move up 1 to 2% over the next window to get a win on this trade, right? So you guys can see hopefully well enough. This is my circle. Everyone see the little white circle here? So this is the entry right here. Again, I don't care what's going on in the charts. I don't care about the market. Nothing like that matters to me. I just have an entry here, and then I have a range here where I need the market to go. This white circle is basically telling me how much movement up from the point of entry do I need the market to go up in order to get me on the right side of my trade and hit a target? Okay. Does that make sense, everyone? See the entry here? It's this green vertical line. And then this white circle is saying how much do I need the market to move up in order to give myself a profit on the trade. Well, next, I'm going to give it about a 45-day window to make that move. Okay, so I'm not saying, hey, I need tomorrow to make a jump up. I'm saying over the next 45 days, that's a lot of candles. Over the next 45 days, I need the market to pop into this range. It can go down or sideways or up and then back down. It can do a lot of different things. But as long as we get that move at any time during the window, the broker should cash us out with an automatic profit on our position. So the market goes right up in this case. This is January 4th through the 8th. And it should cash us out really quickly if we get a nice move up. Okay, so boom. We have this entire window, but it only took a tiny portion of that window, in this case, to get us out with the profit. Then we just do it again the next Thursday. Okay, everyone see the green vertical background? Our next trade, we set it up here, and once again, we're looking for a small move up. Okay, are you guys seeing what's happening? Is this making sense? So you set up the trade, you need a small window up from the point of the entry to get you out, even though you're giving it 45 days. Doesn't really matter whether it happens on day 5 or day 20 or day 30 or day 40. That's the window, and then you kind of always have a move around how much it needs to go up in order to get you out of the trade with a win. And then we just reset that clock. Okay, so we just reset every new trade. Boom, resets the clock for another 45 days. Of course, the market's not always going to go straight up and hit our target, right? Again, we hopefully you all know that by now. Like this was a good example. Thursday to the next Thursday, it did absolutely nothing. Just basically went sideways, but we still have our next trade. Okay, so what do we do? Anyone have a guess in the chat? What do we do if the market does nothing over the next week, doesn't hit our target, doesn't get ourselves in position? Yeah, Mike's on it. I gave a hint when I called this stacking, right? Mike's exactly right. We just stack our next trade at a better price. We just keep the current position. This one's still open. Remember, it still has this big old window. And then we just stack our next trade on. Okay, and we set a new target with a new 45-day window. This is kind of like cost averaging, but using options with a higher time horizon to hit our trade. Remember, we're just stacking these high probability trades and letting the market do the work. Sure enough, the next week we got a nice spike. So what happened? You didn't just win the most recent trade, you also won the trade before. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And we get our next signal. You guessed it, following Thursday, another 45-day window. We have another opportunity. The market kept moving up and it took us out. Then we do it again and again and again and again. Okay. And we're just stacking. Even when the market started to slow down, what do you think we did when the market was going down and we weren't hitting any targets on trade 1, on trade 2, on trade 3? Hopefully you guys are getting the hang of this. We just keep stacking, right? Like I said, you're kind of just averaging. The cool thing here is that as you get down, yeah, now you're not winning trades as quickly as you were during the uptrend, but now you're getting better pricing, okay? And you're setting your target for lower and lower amount. And since we have plenty of time, the market usually pays us off, right? So now the market makes this big move. It doesn't just win the trades at the bottom. It actually wins this trade, and even this trade was a winner because the market ripped back up. So in the case of 2024, that was the first 20 Thursdays because we set these trades up on Thursdays. If you follow my rules, you don't have to follow my rules. You can invent your own version of investing 2.0. But if you follow my rules, you are stacking a trade every Thursday. Some during heavy bull market that closed out very quickly. Some during the sideways market that took a couple weeks and had a couple spikes in between, and some where we stacked right into the teeth of a pullback that took a good month or 30, 5 or 40 days to get out. But all in all, the first 20 Thursdays in 2024 were actually all winners, and the potential ROI was about 51% of total capital deployed during that time. Now, the total capital component is important here because we're not talking about a trading strategy, right? We're not talking about one trade that happened to win 28%. We're talking about the total capital deployed during that time frame, and it was about a 51% ROI. So we're not measuring the return of an individual trade, we're measuring the return of the entire portfolio. Okay, does that make sense? A couple things to keep in mind here. We're stacking the position. We're not rolling the position. We're not closing out older positions. We're not doing anything. We're just restacking a new position. We're recreating the 45-day window. So every new trade pushes out that window 45 days out. The target is going to be about the same every single time. And most importantly, we're not thinking about this like trades. Okay, we're not thinking about this like, oh, this trade won 22% and this trade won 28%. What we're thinking about is, hey, I have $10,000 to deploy. I deployed $2,000 of it over the course of 6 weeks. I made $1,800. Therefore, I made 18% against my 10K portfolio. So we're thinking about this as an actual portfolio ROI. So to really make this 2.0 concept simple, I would basically say this. Any stock you'd be comfortable buying and holding because you expect it to go up over time is likely to deliver far better results with less capital using this method. So you're not just going to take this on any stock. You're going to use this on stocks that you like, that you wouldn't mind owning anyway, and then you're going to stack these positions, giving it a window. It doesn't mean every stock's going to return 72,000%, right? But I really think this cracks the code on delivering more upside with less dollars at risk. And it's really all thanks to twisting options, because you can't do this with regular options. So the question is, what options are we actually using here? Well, the easiest way to do this, in my opinion, is to use a debit spread, or what most brokers would call a call vertical. You can do it in other ways. You could get a little more complex than that. You could use a broken butterfly or a credit spread or a mismatched iron condor or a couple other things. But debit spreads are going to give you the best risk reward and the best bang for your buck, while also being easy to understand and also avoiding the risk of being exercised. Now, for most folks, many of you in here, I'm sure, the idea of spread immediately sounds like, oh, wow, this just got complex or scary or something like that. And I would say that's what the institutions want you to think. Because as soon as you start trading this way, you overcome both of the market maker's biggest advantages, time decay and expected move. Those are really the two biggest advantages that the market makers have over your head, which is why market makers make so much money selling options to folks. So if you ask me, it's no surprise that this entire industry, all the talking heads, all the broker communications, the way you sign forms, everything has basically trained regular people into thinking they should only trade level one. It's like General Mills training folks that they should only eat Cocoa Puffs. Okay, that might be good for General Mills, but it sure isn't good for the folks eating it. And that's kind of what I think about with the level one options. Okay, it's good for them, but I don't think it's good for you. Just my 2 cents there on the people who are stuck on level one. I won't go into my whole diatribe, but I basically think it's a conspiracy theory to cost people money. Okay, so how does this trade structure give us such a massive advantage? Well, a debit spread overcomes time decay by buying a call and selling a call at the same time with defined risk, which means we don't just bleed cash when the asset isn't moving aggressively in our direction, because the call on the other side is gaining value to help offset that. And on top of that, a debit spread completely eliminates the expected move. You see, my favorite part of trading this way is that we get to choose our own line in the sand where we want price to go. Okay, we choose our own level. It can be above or even below the current price. As long as it finishes above that level, again, whether it's wherever you set it, on a bullish spread, we win. Okay, so imagine a position you took here, right? So you're entering the market, and then you have a line in the sand here, which is kind of typical for the way that I recommend investing 2.0. It's a 1% or 2% above where you entered the market. Well, a regular call option is dead in the water here, right? Because it's losing all of its time value, sucking away, then it goes down. Now your call option is just bleeding, and you probably, even if you entered a call here, you probably need the market to go way, way up here to overcome the expected move on top of all the time decay. Now, just to be honest, the spread doesn't look too great here either, right? If the market's now 3.5% below your line in the sand, the spread's not looking too great either. But The difference is the spread just needs to get back above the line to generate a full profit. Okay. And if you give stocks, good stocks, enough time, this actually happens fairly often. Doesn't mean it happens every time, doesn't mean you win every time, but a lot of times a trade looks kind of underwater, starts to look pretty ugly, and then the market rallies back because over time the market makes more rallies than it does dips, and you get on the other side and you get out with a profit. So the example I showed you is actually a pretty common outcome over that 30 to 45 day window. And it means, here's the crazy part, that the same entry on the same asset with the same expiration would be the difference between losing 100% and making 100% in those extreme examples. Pretty crazy. I mean, this is really where I say twisting options is such a crazy opportunity. It really does shift the game dramatically. And when you expand that to the full investing 2.0 blueprint, it becomes really powerful because we're stacking up these kinds of trades every week and giving the market time to make a move. So again, when people were asking me what's one way I could trade GLD gold, this is a great way to do it. When the market's flushing up, you're hitting target left and right. When it's pulling back, you're cost averaging back in. And then when it rallies again, boom, 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 you're hitting more targets. And we're able to take full advantage in those environments, right? When the market's ripping, you're just hitting a target early in the trade. Target, 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 target. When it starts to go sideways or pull back, you're kind of stacking in. Now you have more open positions. Then it moves back up. Boom, boom, boom. You're hitting targets again. And just based on the way the market moves, where it moves in these swings, but is generally more bullish than bearish, I just think this is a way to trade that makes a ton of sense. Now, I know we didn't get to dive into like all the nuts and bolts, like what the expiration always would be. We mentioned Thursdays, how far out of the money you go, all that kind of stuff, because I wanted to keep it brief, especially because I want to get into the two-way options presentation immediately after that, stacking up presentations here. But I do have a little cheat sheet for you here where it kind of walks you through some of the details. So I'm going to post that in the chat. I actually got to find it here. Where did I post that cheat sheet for you guys? Give me a second. Here it is. So this cheat sheet here is going to answer some of the obvious questions like, okay, how far out of the money you go? Where do you set your target? How often you stack the trade? All that kind of stuff is going to be right here in this. Boom. Okay. So that is now in the chat there. Does everyone see that? If you guys look, if you open up your chat box, that's where you should see the cheat sheet that I just referred to. Just click that. It just opens up a simple Google Doc where you can see some notes. How do you get in? What's a typical target? All that kind of stuff is going to be right there in that doc, just to give you some kind of primer for how you can take this trade. Now, one of the big questions is, well, what kind of assets do you like trading this on? Here's a couple that I like. I like Progressive. Graham and I always talk about the stock, one of my favorites. Of course, I love GLD. I've been trading GLD. It's been a phenomenal trade for us, going back to 2023 when we first started talking about it. I like the SPY and the MAGs. MAGs is just MAG 7 ticker that I've been starting to accumulate here. I think there's more downside pressure for sure. Could go down, but I think it's good enough to start accumulating. Walmart, consumer staple stock that I love stacking positions on. And so these are just, 5 assets that I really like. I'll go ahead and pop those in the chat for you as well. If anyone wants those, you can consider using Investing 2.0 on that. Now, of course, this entire presentation comes with a massive, massive warning, beep, 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 red light, warning, which is we might be too early on this, folks. I'm totally okay being too early. I'll take some drawdown if the market pulls back. But as long as I'm continuing to stack, I'm cost averaging, I'll be in good position as long as the market continues to go up over the long term. So just a massive warning that, of course, the market could suck down. Like I said, the liquidity is not there yet. So I'm very concerned about flushes. I mean, the market's down 1% again today. So obviously, and the Qs are down almost 2%. So obviously, I'm concerned about market flushes here. I think there is downside pressure. And that's really what kind of transitions into the other side, the other presentation today, which is the two-way option presentation. Before we jump into that, let me just ask, hopefully this kind of quick and dirty strategy was helpful. Was this good? Did this cover enough ground to be valuable for you guys, kind of give you something to think about, a new way maybe to approach kind of stacking and entering position? Because I've gotten a ton of questions about am I buying? And the answer is yes. But more often, what I'm doing is kind of cost averaging into this stacking position. So now, from now on, when you guys hear me say, "Hey, I like Nvidia," I'm going to start stacking a position. Now you really know what I'm talking about. But once again, the big warning here is that this is a net bullish position. Most of what I do is net bullish. Some people have asked me, like, Nate, I don't understand. How are you always making money when the market goes down? And I have to say, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not always making money. I'm down, 240 grand this month. I'm not always making money. I'm more of a bullish trader. And so very often for me, when the market is pulling back, I am taking it on the chin. I'm waiting for the market to come back, and then I'm starting to stack positions again and go on big runs back to the upside. So I just want to be super clear. I do have a couple strategies that are non-directional. I think right now the timing for those non-directional strategies is obviously ideal. So what I'd love for you guys to do is hang tight. Hopefully that Investing 2.0 blueprint is helpful. I'll throw that resource in the chat. Oh, that's not the resource. That's assets. Let me grab that. Throw that in the chat one more time. But I'd love for you guys to also sit tight so that we can also show you the two-way option, because this is a very non-directional way. So I just showed you a very directional, a very net bullish way to trade. Now what I want to transition into is a presentation that Jack and I gave just a few months ago where we called this, folks. We called the fact that volatility was going to be at insane levels, and having the ability to trade in both directions was going to be really important, because I'm still going to trade all my bullish strategies. I'm still going to stack up all those opportunities, but this is a way to trade in both directions. I can't really recommend anything higher right now than having the opportunity where if the market pops and we do get a big surge of liquidity, or we get some more of those liquidity drops, to have a way to trade in both directions. So again, hopefully that Investing 2.0 approach was really helpful and valuable. That's kind of, lesson number one. Lesson number two is what Jack and I are about to cover, which is what I call two-way options. And this is kind of the opposite side of the spectrum. This is being able to trade in both directions, no matter what the market throws at you. And I think we're obviously in ideal markets trade that. So hang tight, check this out. I think it's going to be really valuable for any of you who are still kind of on the nervous side like I am, still in that pop and drop environment. So take a look at this, and hopefully it's super valuable and helpful. And we should have our next trade, by the way, in about 3 hours. So make sure you get in for that.
Mandatory disclosure. This is mandatory and it's important. The profits and performance shown are not typical to any one individual subscriber. We make no future earnings claims and you may lose money. Every example you will see today was from live, real trade signals sent out in real time to traders just like you. No curve, fit, back test, no monkey business. Now, from July 2024 through January 2025, from the live trades, we've seen an 85% win rate. That is amazing right there. And this is on options, which is even harder to do, which is why I'm more impressed with this. Average winner of 42% and an average return of winners and losers combined 25.3% over a 7-day holding period in the live model. Wow, the numbers here are fantastic. But we can't guarantee any specific future results, as there's always a high degree of risk involved in trading. See our terms on the Prosperity Pub homepage for more information. Now, let's be real. In trading, there will be losers. There is no black box miracle system that prints out winning trades automatically. And the whole purpose of Nate's research and work with traders is to help give you an edge in the markets. If you can't handle a losing trade, then you really shouldn't be trading with real money again. Losses in trading have occurred and will occur in the future. Hi, everybody. I'm Jack Carter. Thank you for being here today. You have arrived at an opportunistic time. Now, all week long, we've been asking folks a very simple question. Where will the stock market finish in 2025? Higher? Lower? Well, out of 2,740 of you that responded to this question, almost 80% said higher, around 20% said lower. Now, what about those in the webinar right now? Post your answer in the chat. Are we going to be higher at the end of the year or lower? You already know what I think. We're going to be higher. Now, maybe you have renewed hope in our government officials. Type in higher or lower. Maybe you're confident in AI to take us to the next level, or maybe just the opposite. You might be worried about a second wave of inflation that doesn't stop, like in the 70s, causing an incredibly painful next few years. Or maybe you're concerned we're seeing the excess froth at the final peak of yet another massive market bubble like the dot-com crash. People say that. Now, regardless of who you are or where you stand, I think we can all agree. In this day and age, no one really knows where the market will finish the year, not with 100% certainty. Week to week, it feels like a guessing game. That's what it seems like. There's the post right there. Fill it out. And that's why we're having a special broadcast today. In the next few minutes, my special guest and I will be unlocking what we're calling two-way options. And it's a brand new way of trading that allows us to profit no matter if the markets fall or head higher. And all we really need is for the market to move. And that's what it's doing. Now, as you can imagine, with all the volatility we've been seeing lately, the trade results have been exceptional, even in the midst of the economic and political chaos. As a matter of fact, over the last 6 months of beta testing, the live trade signals with folks just like you, so far, these two-way options have shown the power to grow an account by 25% per week. Just facts. Now look at this. With an 85% win rate on all the live published trade alerts so far. This is amazing. Pretty good, right? I think it's great. But get this. On July 3rd, 2024, my guest first shared this new way of trading with his beta testers. And since the market has experienced 4 major pullbacks and 3 rallies, not great. Yet the two-way options have won all but 3 trades right there. Now look at this. When you got 17 winners out of 20 trades, you know what you're doing. He knows what he's doing. And that includes hits like 72%, 85%, and 108% during some of the worst market drops, which is why it's so important to win both ways in this market. Now, obviously, with returns like that, we're talking about real results that can truly stack up over time. For anyone who started with just, let's say, 5K, we're looking at a $25,265 income opportunity from live trade signals in only 6 months. No hypothetical historical data, no back testing, no playing with the numbers, no manipulation, just real trade alerts sent in real time. And that's why I invited you to today's session. You see, with the increased volatility and uncertainty on the horizon, the timing is perfect. It couldn't be better. Because as of this moment, the ideal setup for the two-way options is taking shape once again right now. And if things play out as expected, we'll be targeting our 18th win early next week. Amazing. And we'd love for you to be a part of it. That'd be even more amazing. Now, the man behind these two-way options, he may be cute, but he's no dumb cookie. He's no rookie when it comes to trading. His name is Nate Tucci. Now, you might know Nate as one of the fastest rising financial superstars under the age of 40, and he's already been able to accomplish some pretty incredible feats, including publicly growing a 10,000 stake to north of 50,000 over the course of 4 months, and showing countless folks how to hit some serious milestones in their trading across his programs, like Beverly P., who said, "I'm up 6,000 since August 1st. Wow. Roger S., I'm up 15,770 after the first 8 trades, starting with 5K. And then Deborah says, "Nate, I want to thank you for the trades you give us in the live sessions. I made over 12K alone in those live trades." Awesome. And dozens more. Every day they come in. People writing into them all the time. They love them. Me too. However, Nate believes that there's far too many people at risk of financial reckoning in 2025 and 2026. And while he's definitely not some sort of fear-mongering bear market like you might expect in the Big Short film, he does see some very legitimate economic and corporate concerns over the coming months. And that's why today he's officially going public with the all-new two-way options. The new way of trading that's shown the power to pay with 85% accuracy on real-time trade signals, even when the stock market went completely against him. Nate, take it away from here.
All right. Well, thanks, Jack, for doing this, for having me on. It's been a lot of fun talking to you about, this strategy and just in general, what's going on with the markets. And obviously,
I've been amped up about this for months, so I cannot wait to talk about this and get folks on board
Yeah.
and start trading these with me. I mean, this is what I've
Yeah.
been looking forward to for months now.
Yes.
And really, I mean, the whole key here, as Jack already said, we're going to target profit regardless of which way this market goes, whether it falls again, whether we get those big jumps up. As long as we get the move, we're going to try to make some money on this thing. And it doesn't have to be a big move either, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's probably the most important part of the whole equation here. Now, frankly, as Jack just said, I couldn't have timed this up any better. I mean, the NASDAQ just fell 4% yesterday after gapping up 4 days the week before. So this is about as good of a timing for volatility as you're going to get. And, you know, the valuation analysis, we've all said, is the market overvalued? Well, technically, yes, more overvalued than ever. I'm with Jack. I don't think you can overvalue the true potential of tech here, but theoretically, it's overvalued. It's never hit that level, not since 2000 anyway. And the last time we saw it, yes, we saw a major bubble, just like we're kind of on the verge of today. And then here's what came next: big old crash and a 0% return over the next 8 years. Now, I don't think we're going to get that in 2025. Maybe 2026, maybe 2027. I think we're going to get a reckoning. I don't think we're going to get that in 2025. But boy, with warning shots like yesterday, you just really never know. You got to be on your toes. Now, the time before that was actually the 70s. They refer to the stagflation. Why? Not because of the initial market drop. It was because of the repeated drops that ended up producing a 0% return over 12 years. So just to be clear, guys, taking a 20% hit in your portfolio is really no big deal as long as the market rebounds like 2020. The big deal is if you go a decade without actually making any ground. That's where you get burnt up.
Killed.
So again, I am the farthest thing from a doomsday guy. I'm about as bullish as they come 9 times out of 10. And I'm not telling anyone to sell their stock, but there's definitely reasons. There's definitely things out there to be concerned about over the next couple of years. And that's why I think week to week, like Jack said, even if you think the market's going to go up week to week, it's like rolling the dice. It feels like a guessing game if you're trying to figure out highs, lows, anything in between, whether it's Trump tweeting a policy or DeepSeek, making fake announcements from China. But here's what I do know. Nobody wants this to happen, right? Nobody wants to be that guy on the sideline who says, yeah, give me 5 more years, then I'll finally start making some money in my portfolio, because that's where your retirement just gets eaten away. And that's why I think two-way options is such a perfect opportunity right now, because we don't actually pick a market direction at all. We simply need the markets to move in either direction. For example, check out the trades starting back in July. This is when I first got started testing this in real time. At the time, pretty much everyone was calling for a market correction. Obviously, technically, we were overheated. RSI, stochastic, Bollinger Bands. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to see. Now, most traders, when that happens, they start maybe taking some profit. They wait for the pullback. When's an opportunity? Go. But that's not how this strategy works, okay? Instead, I just get in because these are designed to work regardless of whether we melt up higher or we get a big crater like we saw yesterday, which, by the way, we took profit and won our 18th trade already yesterday. So I took a few minutes, took this trade on July 23rd, and sure enough, market fell out of bed just like some people thought it would. And while most people were panicking, my trade was hitting its target, cashing in. So if you put $2,500 into that trade, it ended up at about an $1,810 winner. So you put $2,500 in, market does exactly the thing that you don't expect it. $1,810 hits your account automatically. If you put $5K in, obviously you do even better. $3,620. And by the way, that was in about 2 days on that little market tank that we got there.
Nice.
Now, as great as that is, I'm not done yet, because a couple days later, jumped in again. Now, this time, things actually did look bearish. We actually cracked a few key levels. And if you remember from early August, it was ugly. We had a 1,000-point tumble. Worst day since 2022. That's never a good sign. And then, all the jobs reports and everything, just ugly, ugly, ugly. People were starting to pile on to the downside. And if that wasn't enough to keep you out of the stock market, unemployment report came out the next day and was even worse. Now, the market was teetering around the 200-day moving average. I think most people were thinking, okay, now we're getting that 20% correction that we've been waiting for. And I could have waited. I could have said, hey, I'm going to go to the downside, or I'm going to wait to find some support and try to guess when the market was going to actually make a direction move. Hint, no one actually knows when that's going to happen. Or you could have implemented the two-way options, and it's designed to pay whether or not we get that deeper correction or the bounce back. Now, either outcome, it doesn't matter. A lot of people say, oh, works in bullish and bearish markets. I'm being completely literal when I say, I don't care. Either direction, this is going to hit a target and pay. So immediately I put out the next trade. Go ahead and get in. We're set for either side. If you put in, maybe 3 buttons on your broker to get into that trade, you would have absolutely crushed it, because this time the market kind of shocked everyone again and actually went roaring higher. And again, folks could have cashed in another big winner, $1,119. Notice the exact opposite direction this time, even though it's the same trade. And the best part is it's set to close out automatically as soon as that profit target is hit, meaning you can actually spend less time stressing about that next Fed announcement or corporate earnings or what Trump's going to do, and instead set up that trade, close your laptop, and go do something that you actually enjoy doing. Maybe that's play golf. Maybe it's go catch a horrible football game in Miami and watch your Penn State Nittany Lions choke the game and give it away to Notre Dame and have a 5-hour road trip back being depressed, or maybe a little more fun, hanging out with the family.
There you go.
Yeah, the point is, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But you get to actually shut that computer and walk away knowing, baby, you're in position to make money regardless of which way the market goes, which is a lot of fun, I have to say. And like I mentioned, and this is maybe even more important, this is the part that I think a lot of people actually skip. You don't need that big of a move when you do this right. So let's take a look at August 15th. Again, we had a bearish trade, then we had a bullish trade. Both setups were the same. One. Now we're going to the next week. So again, kind of a coin flip situation for most people. But the good thing about my coin is that both sides are heads as long as the market makes a move. That's how you want to flip a coin. So on August 15th, my beta testers got our next alert, again, right to their computer and their phone. All of the criteria and the trade alerts. Those of you who know me, I don't mess around. I give you every detail of the trade. And anyone following along with about $2,500 would have hit another juicy winner, $1,102 on that one. But here's the crazy part. During that time, the stock market actually didn't move all that much. We didn't get a crazy 4% NASDAQ move. From August 15th to the end of the trade where we got cashed out, August 26th, the S&P only went up 1.44%. Okay, this is not some big crazy move that's only going to happen once in a blue moon. That means folks who invest in the regular stock market, you'd have got $36 on your $2,500 stake. Nice 1.44% gain. But the beta testers ended up about 30 times that amount on the exact same movement in the S&P 500. So I'm sure you're starting to see why I'm absolutely in love with this new way of trading, why I've been hyping it for months and hinting about it. And I think, we're in for a lot of volatility, 25, 26, and beyond. I actually think we're entering a whole new realm of markets where this is going to be very common.
And Nate, between those 3 trades, which happened back to back to back, if someone put in $2,500 each, that could have paid out $4,032 in two-way income in 1 month. Look, all those have a comma in them. And given your 85% win rate so far, could you imagine someone who was twice as confident and started with twice as much? The result would be a massive nearly $10,000 in only 30 days. That's life-changing. Now listen, we're living in a time where folks are more strapped for cash than we've ever seen in decades. You know that. It's getting so tight that a majority of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency expense. And that's why American saving rate has hit an all-time low. And I don't think I have to tell anyone here how helpful an extra $1,000 per month would be, let alone $4,032. That's extra cash that could have gone to covering the mortgage for a couple months, maybe pay off some bills that have been stacking up, or maybe just take some time off to work out, to chill out and recharge. And keep in mind, folks, it's not like the markets were red hot either. Over that 1 month period, the markets were about as unpredictable as can be. Typical investors made next to nothing. But folks following with Nate's way of trading, well, they could have grabbed 3 juicy winners even when the markets were falling out of bed. 4 digits. Look at that with a comma in them. And remember, this isn't some sort of curve fit back test or theoretical made up stuff. These trades, as well as all the others you'll see here today, are based on real trades Nate published in real time. So Nate, you have to tell us, what are you doing here to see such remarkable results in these uncertain times? Are you using some sort of option straddle or strangle or concept here?
No, so it's actually not a straddle or strangle, which I think a lot of people assume. It's actually not expensive at all. Now, if you're not familiar with straddle or strangle. Basically, that's where you buy a call and a put, and you're hoping for an extreme move in either direction. You need a big old move in either direction to make any money. And that actually sounds good in theory. To be fully honest, that's what I started testing when I wanted to try to kind of crack this nut of trading in both directions. I started with this kind of testing. But the problem is, number one, it's very, very expensive. You have to pay for all that implied move. And so a decent call or put is going to run you $1,000 to $2,000, especially if volatility is high. But also, and maybe even more importantly, you need that big move to break even, not to double your money, just to break even. 4 or 5. I think today I looked, it was more like 6%, and you need it to happen in a very short period of time. So you basically need to predict exactly when you're going to get those big outsized moves. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be able to predict every day when we're going to
too hard. That's too hard to predict. You must have that big move, like you said. You have to have it.
And just to be clear, if anything less than that, you lose 100%. Not like you're going to make a small amount. Anything less than that big move, you're done. You're losing 100%. So obviously, if you guys have traded this way, you know the market doesn't make that big of a move fast enough. About 1 out of every 120 days, you're going to get a move that big. And so we actually looked at 3 decades of price action to kind of figure out what kind of move we needed. And the stock market, even if you give it up to multiple weeks, it only makes that move about a quarter of the time, right? So 75% of the time, you're going to take a max loss. And the other 25% of the time, you're not making 100%. You're maybe making 20% or 30% because you're barely getting above that break-even point most of the time. And of course, that makes sense because I show this study every time. Jack loves this study too. Most people buying those options, what do? They take big old losers over and over again. But if you're trading the two-way options, it's a totally different game. Not only are we way cheapening the price because you're not trading those heavy implied volatility calls and puts, you're trading less than $1 per contract. But instead of needing the markets to move 4 or 5% in a very short period of time, we need about a 1.5% move in a longer period of time. Okay, so just to be clear, one, you need a big old move in a short period of time. We need a much smaller move in a longer period of time. Hopefully you can see why the odds have totally flipped and, you know, we're hitting. I mean, the presentation says 85% win rate, but we're actually at 86% win rate because we won yesterday on that big move down. Now, instead of 1/4 of the time, we're currently batting with an 86% win rate. Again, real live issue trade alerts. And the cool part is, as this volatility picks up, it should just help us. It should only aid and abet this strategy. For example, we'll take a look at October 24th. If you guys remember, that was the week before the election. Things were really getting crazy. Market was heating up. All kinds of headlines were coming out. And obviously, just like all the time, experts don't really know what's going to happen. They're predicting and making their best guesses just like anyone else. But that's where two-way options shines, when there's lots of volatility and no one knows what's going to happen next. So if you're one of my beta members, you would have gotten our two-way trade that day. Again, no one had any real clue. Are we going to get a rally? Are we going to fall off a cliff? And either way, it doesn't actually matter to me. So if you took 30 seconds, you put on that trade, we would have entered right here, okay? I mean, who in the chat knows? Was the market going to go up or down from there? I sure didn't know.
I don't know.
A few days later, boom, straight down, okay? So you probably want to know the obvious question.
Yeah. Well, what happens if it's a loser?
Well, if you would have thought that a 3% drop meant a loser, nope. Anyone who put that trade in could have automatically cashed out with a big fat winner, even though it went straight down, $1,250 in about 6 days. Now, here's the fun part, okay? So we put that trade in, had no idea. The market went down. Nice winner. Now, October 31st, we're going to put on our next one, right? Because we got out with a win. Let's reload. And this time, totally different story. The market rallies up. Now we do get that rally, right? Way higher. So how do you think the two-way option did, right? We just showed you it works on a down swing. What do you think happens on the upswing? I think you guys probably...
think you got this nailed. I'm going to type in win.
I think you guys are probably figuring it out. In this case, even though the market direction is completely opposite, doesn't matter. End result is the same, $1,164 on that trade as well.
Now, Nate, again, you won when the markets rose and you won when the markets fell. Now, you're not even thinking about the direction before placing the trade. I've been trading for so many decades now, Nate, trained on Wall Street, moved over $1 billion as a market maker, and ran my own hedge fund with no down months on record. So it's safe to say I've seen just about everything under the sun when it comes to the stock market, but I've never seen anything like this before. Not this dialed in. Now, Nate, if you were someone I met on the street 2 days ago, I'd probably be pretty skeptical because I know this is tough to do. But given your proven real time track record dealing just with facts, as well as the countless top stories I've heard from folks following your various work, like Art, a retired Navy veteran who said, I've been able to win 5 of 6 trades so far. My total return has been a profit of 4,650. I really enjoy the ease of placing these trades and the surprise you feel when a trade closes. Thank you. Carlos told us with 9 trades with minimal risk in my account has grown almost 5,000. Nate has been a great coach and a humble human being. Richard says, took 5 trades with 5 automatic wins, total 4,434. Love that I can set it and forget it. And I have no trouble believing you. And now I want to in on the action too. So Nate, tell us, these two-way trades seem so reliable. Tell us, can you even actually lose?
Well, yeah, obviously, yes. This is the part we want to be very clear on. We do need the markets to move. So, we need that 1.5% move, typically about a 10 to 14 day period. And so if that doesn't happen, of course, you can take a loser. But there are a few things I actually want to point out. Jack mentioned dialing this in. That's exactly what we've been working on for 6 months. So we're not trading risky naked options. The most you can lose is your initial investment. Just to be super clear, you have defined risk like I would in any of my strategies. Secondly, you don't have to bet the farm. These are very affordable. So you can start with $60, $70, and then scale up.
Oh,
Two
I love that.
Whatever you're comfortable with. And then lastly, and I think this is really where it's pretty cool to see, it's not just the last 6 months of live trading, which is my favorite part, but actually we've seen 80% probability over 30 years on the data. So, this is really backed up with north of an 80% hit rate expected on not just my live trading, but literally 30 years of data. So this is not some fad. It's not just for today or this week or this month or whenever Trump goes out of office. I think this is a long-term gain that really cracks the nut on being able to trade in both directions. So, again, of course, losers from time to time, but we've so far won 5 times more than we've lost. And we're not flipping a coin hoping for the best. We're basically saying we have an anomaly here. It's worked over and over and over again for 30 years. And regardless of if the stock market was at all-time highs, lows, stagflation, everything in between, all we really need to do is stack the deck and get that typical market move to pay us. And that's exactly what they tend to do. For example, the very next trade, November 7th, we just looked at the election trade, bounced up, got a winner. November 7th, we got a new one, 65 cents a contract, pretty easy. And this time, dumped again. Are you guys seeing what happened here? Market went up, then it dumped, then it went up, then it dumped again. We just keep replugging it in and doing the same trade. We loved every second of that dump. $2,575 on that trade in just a handful of days. And then we did it again, November 22nd. The next one went out. This one, similar price, about 67 cents a contract. So you could, start with 67, $130, $1,300, 26, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with, you can manage. What do you know? This time the market's rallied. So up, down, up, down, up, down. And if you bought 30 contracts, it's about 2K in that trade. It's a nice $575 in income, again, being protected the whole way. You bought 100 contracts, nice $2,300 win for you. That was about 9 or 10 days. Yeah, about 10 days in that trade. So, it really is meant to work in both directions.
Awesome. Nate, these are some really incredible results. I've seen a lot of it, but nothing like this. And it reminds me of the types of success your top students have been seeing from your strategies. Like Deb, she says, Nate, my MetaTrade closed yesterday for 2,600 profit. Betty says, 4 wins out of 4 trades. The option is very easy to place and cheap for small accounts. I like it because very targeted. Set it and forget it. Works with me since I work full time in the hospital. She can do it. Ken says, I'm up 5,000 for the month. I don't trade as many contracts, but I'm getting closer to my goal. Thank you, Nate. Now, I got to tell you one thing, though, first. Every single one of you here on this webinar, every one of you has the exact same talent and ability as Deb and Richard and everybody else that wrote in to Nate talking about their profit. You can do this. Now, Nate, I think we're all pretty impressed with what you've done here. and how you've been able to dominate over the last year. You obviously have this dialed in. What's really cool, not only do you got a super high win rate that helps with your confidence, but you're posting a profit factor of 3.31 on live trades. Tell people what that means. I can't speak for anybody here, but I have to imagine there's a couple hundred folks in here who are just excited as me to jump in on the next two-way option with you. I can't wait to do this. So why don't you quickly tell us how it works and how we can access the newest position right away? And tell me about that profit factor.
Yeah, the profit factor is really critical because, as you
Awesome.
know, if you get an income strategy, sometimes the win rate can look juicy and all that, but it's not stacking up quite the way you'd expect. So a 3.3 profit factor means, every dollar you lose, you're making back $3.30 in profit. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's a game that I'd go pull the lever on
Yeah.
as many times
All
as I
day.
could.
That's the added icing on the cake here. All your stats. And again, we're only dealing with facts. None of this is made up. These numbers are amazing. So tell me
Yeah.
more.
So before we get into exactly how they work and obviously how hopefully every single person in this room can join me for the next trade, which is what I'm most excited about, let me just walk you through how this all started because there is a kind of a mechanical understanding of the trade itself that I want to walk. So you guys probably already know this story, but if not, just bear with me here. A while back, I published a brand new strategy that hit the world by storm. Basically, what made that strategy so unique and so special is that as long as we get a small move at any point during a 2-week window, so at any point while we're holding that trade, our brokerage should automatically cash us out and pay about a 50% ROI on that particular trade, even if we predict wrong where the market's going to go. So you probably heard me talk about that strategy, automated options. Most people consider that my flagship strategy. I've got thousands of members on it. It's been amazing to run that service. And basically, that type of trading, where I kind of call automated trading, because you put the trade on, you shut your computer, and then you just get paid if that move happened. It really transformed investing for a lot of my members, and certainly for me. And that's really kind of the foundation for what we're talking about today.
Cool. Well, Nate, the stories from your top students, they say it all. Like Modi K wrote in, I'm now 9 of 9. That's awesome. Wow. I do 2.5K orders each. I made $11,250 in 9 weeks. Where can I make that kind of money and let the market do all the work for me? Awesome. Jeff says, thanks to you, I'm up $17,000 in the last 6 months. Obviously, you know what you're doing. And then there's Aaron who says, unbelievable. I've taken all of the trades and I'm ahead 18,620. You definitely know what's going on.
Well, honestly, when I first did this, I didn't really imagine trying to hack this any other way. I kind of said, I've got my hack. I've got this automated options thing. Let's roll with it. But actually, since then, I've been using the same exact structure, that same advantage in a variety of different ways, basically trying to stack up strategies in my arsenal so that I can take advantage of the market in a whole bunch of different ways. And I know a ton of my members have already commented in here who have done this with me in different ways. But there was really one nut that I had yet to crack using that trade structure. How do I do this in both directions at the same time? Because that, like we said, a lot of people have tried it. I'm not the first one to come up with this idea of trading in both directions. It's just the dialing in that I think people have really struggled with. And a while back, I got this market data from the last 30 years that basically explained how big of a move do you need and how much time do you need to give the market. And basically, that's the anomaly that gave us the same trade structure, just like you'd see in something in like automated options, but in actually even a higher success rate. Because when I first did this, I was only trading to the upside. I have no shame about, I mostly focus on upside trades. I love bullish trades. But I wanted to know, if I could do it both directions, because obviously I started out thinking I'm going to be bullish. The markets rise more often than they fall. But that's when it hit me. What if instead of just going after the upside, I just doubled down and went for the downside as well? Because in theory, that gives you a better chance of hitting the target. Either way, you're going to hit that target before the expiration, right? Because, I mean, down and up. And by the way, there's a whole bunch of trades that hit on one side and they would have hit on the other side. So we would have literally won in both directions. We got out, we took our money, but they moved in both directions. So I basically was looking for the sweet spot. Okay, if you guys are taking notes, here's the sweet spot. Timing, size of the move, how much move do you need? And really important, don't forget this part, profit potential. What's the risk to reward on the trade you're putting on? If you get those three things lined up, you're good to go. And so that's what I started basically issuing these trades to my all access members who, pay north of $10,000 to be part of that group. And up until literally right now today, they're the only people who have ever seen those trade alerts. And so far, I think they can all attest it's been worth every penny.
Look at that.
We've had an incredible track record, and I'll go through, by the way, the entire track record here in a minute. But first, let me give you a very practical example from December 12th. So sent this one out at 2:09 p.m. Of course, no rush to get in. Actually, you can normally take 1 or 2 days even to get into these trades. Sometimes they'll move quick, but most often you have plenty of time to get in. So if you look at it on the charts, you can see basically we need a 1.5% move in either direction. So it doesn't matter if that move comes from the upside, doesn't matter if that move comes on the downside. Either way, the two-way option will pay either side. Sure enough, a few days later, boom, market got a nasty hit. You guys probably remember right before Christmas, not so much of a Santa Claus rally. We got that big, ugly drop, and my members had a shot to automatically cash in big, hit the target, about $2,031 payday in 6 days, being ready to trade the market in both directions. Now, of course, you could start with as little or as much as you want. You don't got to trade 100 contracts. You can trade 1 or 10 or whatever you want, because it was about 64 cents a contract, so obviously anyone can afford that. Now, again, these all new trades are designed to profit whether the market goes higher, lower, or even if it just jostles and goes back and forth and ends up going nowhere, as long as we get a move during that period of time. For example, September 12th, another one of my favorite examples. Now, let's say, you're a savvy trader. You know the seasonals, right? Because September is not a pretty seasonal month. As a matter of fact, it's the worst month all year long. So it's not a great month to be trading. So a lot of smart traders said, okay, we're getting into September. Let's back off. Let's be careful. We might get that seasonal opportunity to play out again. We want to be safe. But I'd rather just have a shot to win, whether history repeats itself or does the opposite. So I put on the trade figuring it doesn't matter which way it goes. And here's what happens. I put the trade on. Didn't matter if the September seasonality played out. We got that downside. Or if it bucked the age-old trend and moved higher. As always, we need a small move over the weeks. Again, either way, that option is going to pay out on either side. So I placed a trade, went back to my normal life. Sure enough, 7 days later, we clocked out another automatic win. You didn't have to manage this. You didn't have to wait for an exit signal from me. You hit the target, nice. $2,230 in 1 day. And by the way, it did go the opposite direction as most people were expecting.
That is so incredible. I love it. You got it dialed in, up or down. It didn't matter. And that's pretty powerful phenomenon to have in the back pocket, especially with all the volatility expected over the next 12 months. Now, I know the timing is everything. So do I have to be around at the computer to close this trade myself when it hits our target?
No, obviously not. So this is literally an automatic target. You close, the broker locks you in. You can be on vacation. You can be on the golf course. You can be sleeping, whatever you want to be doing.
Fishing? Could you be out fishing?
You can be out there fishing with Jack in Colorado.
Wrestling grandkids?
Yeah, and by the way, I recommend the opposite. I don't know about you, Jack, but I think people staring at the computer trying to panic, that's the worst thing you can do, I personally think. So maybe you're trying to, there's me in Colorado, by the way, Jack. That's me and Allie and the little one in Colorado. Or, doing something else with the family. Obviously, I have 7 kids, so I'm trying to spend as much time with the family as I can. I get the trade, I get filled, I set it up, and I walk away. I let the market do the work. I don't want to be managing that thing. I want the market to go to work for me. And so if you're tuning in right now, your journey can start today. I mean, we're getting ready. We're probably going to have a trade in the next 24 hours.
Lay it on me, baby.
So, we are ready to roll. We don't need a market crash. We don't need a whole bunch of indicators to line up. We don't need a big gap up. All we need is the markets to move in either direction. We're not trying to roll the dice, guys. That's not what this is about. We can be like Jason, who said, just consistently swing the bat, baby. I love this comment. Don't panic and reassess your trading every day about what the market's going to do. Have an edge, swing the bat, make some money.
There you go.
Here's another example. December 27th, I showed you the trade before. Here's the very next one, about 71 cents a contract. Again, looking at the chart, I don't care if it goes up. I don't care if it goes down. Either way, that two-way option will pay. And anyone who followed along, we got the downside move here, could have automatically cashed out. You're not watching the charts. You just let that target hit $1,338 in about 6 days. So again, hopefully you guys are seeing, we've gone through, 15 examples. Up, down, up, down, up, down. The NASDAQ's made 0% in the last 2.5 months, and we're just hitting home run after home run. So I hope that you can see the power of trading with these two-way options, both directions, and how we can profit. Whether we get collapses like we saw yesterday, gap ups like we got the week before, as long as the market moves. And so if you're worried about the uncertainty ahead, which I certainly don't blame you, I think this is the perfect way, the perfect time to tackle these markets in the weeks, months, and years ahead. In fact, I'm so confident, by the way, that every single person in this webinar room should be on our next, not just one, but 50 two-way options. That today I've got a special offer as part of our little launch here that you're going to be able to get the next 50 trade alerts for free. Now, just to be clear, you're going to have to join, you have to lock in, but as part of a huge bonus, I'm actually going to give you 50 of these bad boys. Well, I'll get into the actual details of how that works here in just a moment. Now, obviously, the key here, you got to structure the trade the right way, right? That's the whole point here. You got to structure it the right way to take advantage of the opportunity. You have to get the balance that I mentioned right. Timing, size of the move, and payout potential. That's what you need to line up if you want to do this. And so I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you exactly how to line those bad boys up and get these high probability trades with your first two-way options so that anyone can start using this to start going after their own income trades, whether you want to just follow mine, do some extra ones, and regardless of if the stock market goes higher or crashes lower. So I'm putting together a workshop this week. It's going to show you exactly how you can start using these trades to target big payouts, few clicks of the mouse, regardless of which way the market goes, how to set up your first trade, real money trade example, plus how to set up that automatic exit because that's super important so you're not managing the trade. And obviously, guys, I can't guarantee our next trade is going to be a winner. There's no way that I can say this week's going to be the week we get the move, this week not. But we're batting 8 out of 10 here. I mean, we're feeling pretty darn good about these trades. So I think once you get your hands on the workshop, you'll actually be amazed at how clear-cut it really is. Most people jump into my workshops, they think it's some crazy advanced strategy, and they realize how mechanical this is. Step-by-step mechanical, just beating that edge, swinging that bat over and over again. And so you'll be able to use this every single week. Just a few buttons, you get the trade locked and loaded, you get that target set. Maybe it takes about 2 minutes a week to put on your next trade, and then you're back to normal life. Just like my recent trade in October 3rd, we got the setup. Again, no rush. You can normally have 1 or 2 days to get in. In this case, grind it up a little higher. You guys see there, no crazy moves, no big 3% gaps up, just a couple days grinding higher, and we automatically cashed out in about 8 days with another $1,164 winner. Now, of course, any regular brokerage account work. You just got to be able to trade options, 401k, IRA, those work too. And if you want to see just how powerful these two-way options are with your own eyes, then join me for the next one. Let's do it. Let's actually trade this bad boy live, and you'll get the next 50 ones for free. So all you got to do, join today, grab one of these charter memberships that I've been so amped up about as part of two-way options. You know, Jack, I've been hinting about this for 6 months. So this is like a birthday party to me, getting to talk about this. The whole point, the entire service is dedicated to going after those two-way income trades, not predicting direction, not, guessing what Trump's going to do or anything else, using the market math to our advantage and leveraging an opportunity in either direction. Now, after live trading this with a whole bunch of my all access members for the last 6 months, it's small account friendly, less than $100 a trade.
Nice.
Average weekly payout, $1,290 based on 5K. So you're batting over 25%, including winners and losers, blended all together. And then my favorite thing, it says 85%, actually 86%
That's
now.
so amazing. You've cracked the code, man. You have cracked. And that's what you were saying. Everybody wants to be able to take trades where you're on the upside and you're on the downside, but that is very, very hard to do. Very hard. One of the hardest things I've ever seen anybody do, and yet you've done it. You've cracked the code, and I love that.
Yeah, and by the way, like you said, I mean, I tried it a million different ways. This is the end result of a long journey. So I'm going to show you, by the way, how that 25% per week stacks up over time, because it's pretty amazing. But first, let me just walk you through everything you're going to get. So first of all, of course, you're going to get every single two-way options trade alert each and every work. The one that I'm personally trading as well. I'm going to package it up, send it to you in exactly the way that I'm trading it as well.
Now, Nate, I want my hands on these trades. And folks, that's 50 plus two-way income opportunities over the course of the year. And each one based on the same method that these live trade alerts have shown, $1,290 average payout every week. Yes, winners and losers included. And Nate, I peeked at your tracker, and sometimes the results are even better. Like the trade you issued on July 3rd. As a member to two-way options, you would have seen the alert right away coming from Nate, and all the information needed is in there, the ticker, when to place the trade, how to place the trade, the options criteria, entry and exit, everything. And anyone who took the trade, they would have cashed in big. $5,416 in only 2 days, doubled your money. But if you think that's something, wait until you see this. Just a few days later, Nate had another entry. He don't stop. Now, of course, you're going to get the notification via email, cell phone, and telegram if you want. That's how it comes. And after about 5 minutes of work, you could have put their phone in the pocket and never looked back at it again. Yet, still got paid $4,259 in 48 hours. Now, between those two trades, which happened back to back, folks could have pocketed $9,675 in profit, which reminds me of what some of your top students have said before, Nate. You know how to show people how to make money. Jack A said 3 for 3 up 9,000. So, Nate, what do you think? 10,000 for access to this? This seems like a fair deal, 10 grand to be a member?
Well, I mean, honestly, up till now, basically, that's what you would have had. You would have had to be an all access member to get access to any of these. And if that's you, hopefully, again, if you're in the chat, you can agree. 10 grand would have paid off pretty big because we've been on an absolute tear. But of course, you guys know me. It's not going to be 10,000, not 7,500. I got a special deal for you. We always go above and beyond on these kind of, new charter memberships. So with the certainty and volatility ahead, I want everyone. I mean, I really mean this. I'm hoping that every single person in this webinar is with me for our next trade, because I think it could be the difference between, being totally unprepared, getting caught off guard by those big drops, or literally taking full advantage of that volatility. So before I talk price and we get in, I know a lot of you are waiting to get in. Let me quickly just cover everything that's included. I'll try to do this real quick, and then we'll open this up and you guys can join. I hope every single one of you get to be part of this. So the first thing, again, the two-way options class. Okay, so we're gonna do this live. This week, I'm gonna show you how the strategy works, how you can implement it, plus how to set up the targets. That's super important. Plus, I'll actually show you how you can do this on other tickers as well. I was actually telling Jack earlier, you can do this on some other tickers. IWM is an interesting one to get some big moves. We were actually talking about trading on some Bitcoin assets like IBIT, because there's some big old moves there that you can take advantage of. So we'll go into some little bonus sessions there on that. And that way, you guys, you can trade this on more than one ticker. Once you learn the strategy, the world is your oyster as far as I'm concerned. You can go mess around and do this. You'll probably want to follow me for the first couple months and just do what I'm doing. But after that, you get comfortable, you can make this really work. And every single time, whether Bitcoin, Apple, IWM, or anything else, you're trading regardless of which way the market moves. So not only are you going to get the training, you're also going to get the calculator. Jack, I know you love a good calculator.
Love them.
Make it easy for people, right? So you'll get the same calculator I use, because remember, I said you really have to know your ROI. Last thing you want to do here is put on a trade, put on risk, and only have a chance to make 10%. You want to know exactly what your risk to reward is. And so we're going to include this. Obviously, ideally, we'd sell the class and the calculator is a separate project. Typically, we try to break things apart. But today, you guys know the drill. Special opportunity, special founding membership. You're going to get it all for no charge. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at you today to make it as easy as we can for you.
Hey, man, that is great, Nate. And like I always say, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And you've done just that over and over and over again with your most dedicated members, like Linda. Says, I came in not knowing anything about options. Nate is a great teacher, and I'm so grateful. My account is growing, and I can't wait to do more trades. Yeah, he's the man. Kathy L. says, thank you for teaching me how to do these. I have not only gone 5 for 5, but I've also done winning trades on AVGO, Nvidia by myself. See, right there? That's what you want. You want to be able to have somebody fly the nest, so to speak. And Nate knows how to show you how to be successful. Look at this. Many more top stories. I hear about him all the time myself.
Well, I'm hoping that today we're going to get a whole bunch more, man. That's the goal, right? To get a whole bunch of the people who are in the webinar right now to be,
I want in now. I don't want to wait around.
Well, hopefully the two-way options are exactly the tool to help me accomplish that mission. So, of course, I'm going to keep track of this. There's a live tracker. It's going to be in there, updated in real time. You can see the performance. You can know exactly how this stacks up. And by the way, this might be what gets me most fired up about the opportunity at hand, because so far this live tracker is an absolute beast. 85% win rate, 3.31 profit factor, 25% per week compounding. Again, that's including winners and losers. So if that number were 25% per year, it would be about 2 times the S&P's average annual performance, but it's not per year. It's per week. So that has us outpacing the S&P by about 100x. So, pretty good. If you want to put a number on it, basically we're on pace for about 45 grand in profit without
Yeah.
compounding anything.
Now
Just
we're talking.
swinging the bat. Twice as confident.
$5,000 trade.
Yep. You're looking at about $100,000. Now, guys, I'm not saying that to say, hey, join today, you're guaranteed to make 100 grand. That's not the point. The point is the edge here has been refined. I think we've really proven it with a real track record. Doesn't mean you should risk more than you can afford. All that good stuff still applies. But my goal is to make this as big of an edge as you can possibly have in the market, especially in this volatility. And by the way, to take as much risk off you and put it on me on the membership. So you guys, I'm going to do this satisfaction guarantee. I think it's a no-brainer. I want to make it as easy for every single person in here to say, yes, let's give it a shot. So you get 100 days. Give it a test run. Let's see if this really works the way that I'm saying it works. And if I don't deliver and grow that model portfolio with real trades over the next 100 days, then obviously get a refund. Say it didn't work. I mean, that's going to be 12 or 14 new trades that you're going to see, all kinds of different volatile conditions. And I'm not really too worried about it. I think the track record speaks for itself because with the odds we have here, I mean, as long as this market keeps moving, and by the way, even if it doesn't move a whole lot, we are in an amazing position, whether it tanks or whether we get a continued melt up. So if I were you, I'd say, especially with what we're seeing right now in the markets, this is the program you don't want to live without. And by the way, based on the data, and Jack and I talked about this, we're not necessarily saying that 2025 is the year of a recession. We're just saying be ready for volatility. It could happen in either direction. I don't want to be on the other end of seeing the market go sideways for 10 years and make net zero. So I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm not saying I have a big, bold prediction on which way the market's going to go. What I'm saying is that I don't want to be caught off guard. I don't want to be on the wrong side of a market drop, whether it's yesterday or 2 months ago or anything in between, whether we get it next year, whether we get it next week. That's not the point. The point is be ready, have a strategy that's ready to make money in the teeth of that and not running away from it. So whether we see the market push to all-time highs, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because with this two-way options, there's no wrong side as long as the market moves. So that's my spiel, guys. That's my pitch. Now it's up to you to make a decision. You can go back. You can try to guess. You can try to predict the market, or you can take advantage of the two-way options that have paid time and time again. I mean, this is real money, real live trading over the last 6 months, and I think there's no bigger advantage or no better time to jump in. So if you want to take me up, if you want to do this, if you say, Nate, I'm in, let's trade live, let's do this.
I'm in.
Which is what I want you to do, then don't worry, not 7,500, not 5,000. Like I mentioned, right now we're averaging $1,290 per trade, single trade. So I thought, let's have some fun. Let's price it at $1,290. Let's make it the price of an average trade. By the way, including winners and losers. That way,
that's too low.
Well, that's what I told Graham, but then we fought back and forth about it.
$1,290 for a year?
Well, it actually gets a little better. So you get a chance to cover the entire membership basically on one trade, and then I'm going to give you the next 50 on top of that for free. So basically, you're going to get 2 years for $1,290 instead of $190 over the. I mean, for me, you guys know this, okay? Obviously, I'm doing this as a business. I want you to join that, all that good stuff. But I wanted to make it so obvious to join. I want you guys not to have to really think about whether this could pay off. This is 100+ trades for the same rate that we're averaging on a single trade. So I'm trying to make it as big of a no-brainer. You get that additional 50 trades. Obviously, this is the founding membership discount. Won't be available forever, but you can right now today, as we drop this link, you can get $1,290 for 2 years plus our next trade. Jump in now. Click the link in the chat. I've tried to make this as obvious as I can because I really do think that this is the absolute perfect time to be trading something like this. And I'm going to do it live with you as often as I can so you guys can see it. That's real awesome. Money. Follow me in my brokerage account. Know exactly how it works. And then feel like, hey, I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded. Whether this market goes up or down, I'm in good position to win. Speaking of win.
One thing I got to tell you, I know what's going to happen here is the customer service is going to get full. And this order page may get a little funky because we got 1,000 people on here. So put your name and number in the chat if you absolutely positively know you want this and you don't want to risk getting a busy line when you call or a frozen page when you go to the order form. So just keep that in mind. Put your name, phone number in the chat. Nate's team will get you signed up. I know I'm getting it.
Well, I'm pumped up. I mean, I can't overstate how fired up I've been about this.
Yeah.
ProsperityPub.com/win. Guys, we're going to do this starting this week. Live masterclass, live trading. The calculator's already in there. The track record's already in there for you. You can also call our team, 321-888-3962. Press 1. That'll get you right to the concierge team. They can get you locked and loaded. I'm assuming we're going to have a flood of new people because I've been hinting at this for months now. I've just been so jazzed up. You know, I was telling some of my members, Jack, last week, you know, here I am, the market's crashing and burning. And I haven't been able to tell anyone that I got this strategy working in the background. So I've been chopping at the bit to get this rolling. And now, you know, today.
Well, it wasn't all fun and candy and ice cream. You took a good pounding, if I'm not wrong, learning this, cracking this code, right?
Yeah, well, I was trying to do straddles and strangles like everyone else.
I've never seen anybody do it. I know since the 80s, guys were saying, man, I would love a strategy where I've got odds on my side that I could win if the market moves up or down. And what's beautiful here about the move is you don't need a big move. You just need what is an already normal move. Right? You don't need 15%. You need 1.5%. That could happen in an afternoon, which is now why I see how you have this structured with the timing and all those three components, how this really does lead to success. And I'm just jacked up that you finally cracked the code on what men have been trying to do for decades. And now you've done it. You've proved it. We're not making this up. It's all real. And now everybody could get in on this now for $12.90 for 2 years. Don't pass this up.
Yeah,
Folks,
well, I kind of
invest in yourself and get on this now. Put your name and phone number in the chat. Get locked and loaded. I can't wait for this because, you know, it's always like, oh, the market's down, that means I lose. Or, oh, the market's up, that means I win. Now, right? You got it. You kind of got it boxed in. All I got to do is make a little tiny move. And if they're not happy, they can get their money back. Is that what you're also saying?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, that's probably 12 or 15 trades over the next 100 days. So you're going to get a nice sample of how this market moves over the next 100 days. And, you know, I kind of backed into this. Like I said, I was looking for, okay, how do you predict those big volatile moves and then try to capture them? But that is so hard, Jack, to try to figure out when it's going to break out of those contractions and get those moves just right. And so then I kind of just backed into it and said, well, why don't I do what I've already been doing with these other structures and just kind of rebalance them and then give myself more time. That I would say the biggest key here, which again, if you guys are in the class, I'll really go deep in this because it's kind of amazing. The real key is how do you give the market more time without paying through the nose for that extra time?
And how do you do it where you don't need a big move? I'll just tell you, admit a damaging admission. I tried to crack this two-way code twice in my career, couldn't do it. And that's why I'm so impressed with what you've done here. And I know it works, you know, so that's why I'm even more impressed. And I can't see why anybody would not want to have this coming to them every week for 2 years, right? You got the calculator, you got the training, and really, you're the man. You know, there's a lot of people that don't have the, whatever you want to call it, confidence in themselves to trade real money in front of people. And just the mere fact you're doing that, you know, it makes them confident in what they're doing, and it builds trust with what you're doing. And I just really, you're standing behind it. You're putting your money where your mouth is. Not everybody does that. And I got to just tell you, you are going to be a superstar. You're already doing great. Everybody should have you as a mentor. And I can't wait to start getting your trade. So I'm signing up now.
Well, thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. Now, I will say, by the way, that doing it with real money, I think, is been. Well, first of all, why would you not do it with real money if you believe in the system? I mean, some you know, that doesn't make sense to me in general. But a lot of my members say, you know, I never realized how it worked until I saw someone plug in the trade on a brokerage. Now all of a sudden it makes sense, right? So I try to do that with every service. You know, go in, actually put it in my brokerage, let them see it, and you know, that's exactly what the training is all about. It's not meant to just, you know, fulfill a masterclass. It's meant to so that you can see how this actually works in a real market, in a real brokerage account, and jump on. Now, guys, I've been trying to rush this to you for the last 6 months. I mean, I immediately, as soon as I got that initial testing done, I didn't even wait. I started the very first trade I took, well, actually maybe the second trade I took, I shared it with our Diamond members right away. So far, you've heard the numbers, 85, now 86%. And guys, when you cumulatively put that together, you would have 5x in the count in the last 6 months. So if you did 5K on each one, you're looking at $25,000 of profit. Those are not small numbers in a 6 month period, and those are from live, real issued trades. So I'm really pretty pumped about this.
Yeah. Hey, Nate, that means folks could have already covered the cost of the membership 19 times over. And you've shown plenty of people results like those in the past. Here's some more of your top stories. You got so many guys. Jeff wrote in, started small, scaling up, plus 3,700. And here's an amazing one from Roger, up 15,770 after the first 8 trades. Ron D says, I'll be signing up for the lifetime today. So far, 3,777 in 4 weeks. Now, speaking of which, I know everybody wants the lifetime option. That's always the best deal. So do you have a lifetime option today?
Of course, we always do with the founding membership. So on that first page, what you're going to get is you're going to get the option to take the 2 years, $12.90, 2 years. That's the only option because it's a crazy option. So you got to do that first. Join for $12.90. Then you'll go to the next page where you don't want to exit because that's where we have that upgrade to lifetime. Now,
I want
this
that.
Lifetime deal. Jack, we normally go crazy with the lifetime on the founding membership.
On the pricing, you go crazy.
I think we've gone the craziest yet on two-way options.
Oh, okay.
By the way, you also get the legacy access, so you can pass it on, friend or family. That's included. But I also have a little bonus. You're going to get a little special report that I put together, which tells you how do you do this on some of these other stocks. I'm gonna maybe add IBIT in if I can do a little more testing because I love your idea there of using IBIT because I did some testing on Apple, Nvidia, Tesla. I give them some guidelines for exactly how to do that. But that's for lifetime members only. Okay, so you got to be a lifetime member if you want this bonus report. We'll probably do a couple bonus live trade sessions as well. Tesla is a great one to do this on. Great stock where you can do this two-way trade on. But go ahead and get that now. Guys, I'm just going to tell you, once you join the 1290 in the 2 year, read that next page because the lifetime offer is ridiculous. It's I'll just tell you it's less than the price of 1 year to
have
go
you
all the way to
double
lifetime.
checked it though?
Jack, it's insane.
What is it? Let me see it.
I almost don't want to say it out loud. It's so ridiculous.
Say it out loud.
It's $995 to go all the way to lifetime, less than the price of a year.
$1,995?
$995, less than $1,000. You go 2 year
for lifetime,
all the way to lifetime. We go crazy on these sometimes.
That's too crazy.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if these trades are averaging 1290, why wouldn't you go for the lifetime? I couldn't even imagine how far ahead of the game you'd be by the end of 2026. Oh, man, I want it. I'm going lifetime.
Well, I always tell people I try to go above and beyond, because listen, if you're going to do a lifetime, you're saying, Nate, I'm all in. I'm going for it. I want to do something special. But we went really crazy today. So lock in that 2 year, lock in lifetime. I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity. If you don't like it, get a refund. I mean, obviously, I think you're going to love it. I think it's been a lot of fun.
You're going to love it because this is really what people want. I mean, if you think about what could be like one of the ultimate strategies is that obviously it doesn't win 100% of the time. But if 80% of the time I step up to the plate and I have an opportunity to win as long as the market moves 1.5% over 7 days, which it does almost, it's always doing that. Why wouldn't you want to be able to like hit it either way? Like you're always in a position to win. That's what I love about this. You're not going to have like a down day. Oh, the market's down, I'm down. Market's up, I'm up. You got to go in both directions, man. I like it. I love it. So what's the trade going to be?
Well, obviously, you know the drill. You got to join. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it live. Smart. So real money this week. You're going to find out what that trade is with me.
You're doing this. This is obviously level 2 options. You're doing this live with them.
Yeah, we're going to do it live.
The same trade.
It'll either be tomorrow or Thursday. We got to see exactly how the market shakes out here. It'll either be tomorrow or Thursday. But I'll invite everyone. Live webinar room. I'll pull up my brokerage account. Real money. We'll put it on. We'll set up the target. Q&A. We normally spend 2.5 hours in there together on these master classes. And I mean. Listen, it's not just theory. I mean, it's one thing to say to have a theoretical approach of how you can trade both directions. But we just saw last week the market gapped up 4 days. We got a bullish winner. Then we just set up the exact same trade. Yesterday, the market collapsed. We got a bearish winner. We got a bullish winner and a bearish winner within 3 days of each other on the exact same trade setup, which is just a lot of fun.
Absolutely love it. What's the average hold time?
7 days. The average hold time is 7 days.
So
So you
this
can
is not like
recycle.
not like anything else you have, right?
No, this is
not like
basically a
brand
beautiful
new.
middle ground arsenal. Trade in both directions, stack up income. I mean, it really. I don't know. Obviously, I love all the strategies that I trade, but
But
this is just so unique because
this is
this is kind of that nut that I've been trying to crack for a
yeah,
while.
yeah.
And so
Genius. This is
it,
genius level stuff. I'm telling you. I've tried it myself, failed twice. I've seen countless people try it, and you're brilliant. And you're showing it facts. I love it. Now let's keep rolling. I'm going to get sideways if we don't finish this.
I know I have 240 unread chat messages I have to get to, but let me just
Let's
let
roll.
me just roll in here. So let me give you just again a very practical example of what I'm talking about. So July, crazy market, ripped higher. You guys remember we got what, like 14 all-time highs in the month of July. Things were getting a little crazy. Sure enough, market fell out of bed. Most people are panicking. Okay, now what do I do? Do I buy back in? Do I take profits? But if you put 2,500 bucks in, that's just money. When that market falls out of bed like that, that just means money. You wake up, you see the futures down 3%, you're just smiling because that's money. And then what do you know? Next week, do it again, except for this time the market went up. So up, down, up, down. That's exactly what we're doing. And I think of the 21 trades we have now. So we have 18 winners on 21 trades. I think it's like 7 downside winners and 11 upside winners. So we really are just going back and forth both sides.
Yeah, you're playing ping pong with this market. I love it. That you can make it on a little down dip, even when we're in a bull market. That's
right.
Also one of the coolest things in the world. And that move, you dialed it in. That was the problem for me, is that my trade was predicated on the market had to make a big move, bigger than what was normal. But now you got this set up where it only has to move 1.5%. This is brilliant, man.
I wanted to be in a position where if the market just grinds up 0.5% a day, you're still going to win, because you don't want to take. No one wants to take a loss when the market just grinds up higher every day, right? So you got to put it within the wheelhouse of a reasonable move. Now, I've been doing this for 6.5 months, and like I said, we've had grind weeks, we've had gap weeks, we've had gap downside weeks, we had deep seek fake whatever announcements. We've had everything in between. So my confidence has obviously been building a ton over the last 6 months.
Yeah. All right, now Nate, I absolutely love the way this works. You know that. I'm impressed too. And instead of only going after the upside opportunities, you got this thing dialed in so you get paid for the downside moves as well as the upside, allowing it to work either way, which is what people want. And like you said, as long as you get big enough move, which isn't even big, as long as you get a move, only 1.5% up or down, either way, the two-way option is going to pay. Baby move is all you need to get $2,230 payday in 1 week. Average holding time 7 days, and you get to do it time and time again and again and again. Either way, the two-way trade will pay if we just get a normal move any direction. 2,031 payday in only 6 days. Now, people, do not miss out on the next one. Invest in yourself. Get the lifetime deal. That's the best deal. You could make a fortune doing this. And by the way, don't go off the deep end if you do make a fortune doing this. I know some people, Nate, are going to make more money with this product than any of your other products. And the bad thing would be, somebody gets too rich too soon and kind of just goes crazy. So you got to promise you're not going to go over the deep end if you get more wealthy than you ever have been before. All right, just to recap, you need level 2 options. Write that down. 7-day average hold time, 86%. This is unheard of, okay? I've seen it all, and I haven't seen this. Nate has it dialed in. Get it. 85% win rate, 3.31% profit, 3.31 profit factor. That means every dollar you're putting in, you're getting 331 back. Loser, 25%, winners and losers combined, right? Average winner, 42.5%. The numbers don't lie. We're only dealing with facts. We're only dealing with stats. Get that lifetime deal and do yourself a favor. Get the money you deserve out of this up and down market.
All right, let me rip through a couple of the FAQs here, and then we will finally get to the chat. Sorry, guys, I know we've been going for a while, leaving you hanging. A lot of stuff going on here, but real quick, how much money? Okay, about $70 a contract. Very cheap trades, guys. You can start small, you can scale this up. Is it day trading? No, like Jack said, about 7 days. Okay, so you don't have any day trading rules here. Now, it's possible you could put a trade on and it jumps the very same day, but that's incredibly rare. I wouldn't even worry about that. But if it ever did happen, it's not going to be a day trading issue because you're certainly not going to get 4 of them in 1 week. Will every trade be a winner? Of course not. I wish every trade was a winner, but unfortunately, no strategy gives you that. But we're at about an 86% win rate on real live trades. Should you be worried about market downside? Well, I think yes, you should be worried. Not necessarily that the market's going to have a big correction. I don't really think that's likely, but I think we're going to get those volatile weeks, those 2% drops, those 3% drops, and those are beautiful for us.
Yeah, we're going to get you're going to get what I call a flush every now and then, which is going to be a real sudden down day or two, but not a crash.
And one of the things I've been saying about these flushes, a lot of them are kind of liquidity flushes. So it almost doesn't matter what you're in. You can be in energy, you can be in Bitcoin, you can be in gold. Most of the time, we're getting these across the entire market. Now, every once in a while, you get deep seek, which is a very concentrated kind of thing. But a lot of times, we're just getting profit taking or Japanese yen carry, something that just kind of. So, in my opinion, there's not really a great hedge other than the strategy. Buy gold, buy whatever, it's fine. But I think we found out in 2022 that doesn't actually protect you. What protects you is a good strategy.
Right.
And so I think that's the best opportunity. Can you trade in a 401k IRA? Of course, yes. You just got to have the ability to trade options. As long as you can trade options, you can trade. It's defined risk, nothing crazy. What's the next trade? Well, you got to join the class this week. Max risk, whatever you pay for the trade, guys. That's the max risk. We're not taking some crazy open-ended risk. Whatever you pay is your risk. How do you close the trade? Well, you don't do anything. You set up that target, you walk away. I'll teach you how to do it step by step. That trade closes out. Guarantee, yes, you get 100 days. Okay, that's like a third of the year to trade live in these volatile markets. Do I trade this with my own money? Yes, I do. I always wait a couple minutes. I set out that trade. I don't want to get filled. I mean, granted, we're trading huge assets like SPY that has millions of contracts, so no one's going to be front running anyone anyway, but I give it a couple minutes just to make sure. And then I go ahead and I trade this with my own money. How has the performance been? Of course, this is my favorite question. Now even better, over 85% win rate, over 3.3 profit factor, over $25,000 in profit. Do you have to be glued to the computer? Nope. Easy. Plenty of time to get in. These are not crazy day trades. This is about as mechanical and straightforward as it gets. Are there any other methods I'm going to teach you in the masterclass? Yes, I've got a few bonuses up my sleeve, so make sure you are live if you can make it this week.
I can't
I got
wait.
a couple other things I want to show you.
Brother.
And will it cost $24.97? No, it won't cost $24.97 a year. In fact, it's $12.97 or $12.90 for 2 years. So we already covered this as well. Is there a lifetime option? Yes, and it's a crazy lifetime option because you get a bonus training and it's only $9.95. So I don't know what else I can say, folks. If you're not in, get in. This is a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. I've been so excited about this, and I just can't wait to see as many of you as possible in the room.
Speaking of that, if you're in, type in your name and say, I'm in. I want to see how many people we have in here that's smart. And if you're not in, type in your name and phone number. Type in your name and phone number, and we'll get you in. But let's see who's in. Jay is in. Jordan's in. Jim is in. Jennifer is in. Mark and John and Mel is in. Frank, Ellen, China, Darn. Wow. Oh, man. Already been Vlad's in.
Vlad.
Look at this. This is smart. You got a lot. Daryl's in.
John's
Dexter,
in.
Troy, you got a lot. Jerry, you got a lot of smart people in here, and they're taking advantage of you, which is they should. They should use you to get the kind of profits they want. Jerry's in. Delane, this is awesome, man. This is awesome. You are some smart people getting in. Get that lifetime deal. That's the one you want. Bryant is in. Type your name and phone number. Uzario's in.
Raleigh's in.
Raleigh's in. Jack's in. Yeah. Little Jack is going to want in. I know if he sees this, I'm going to have a whole nother can of worms, but that's okay because there ain't nothing better, people, than knowing you have a chance to make money if the market goes up or if the market goes down on one trade. It can work both directions. That's the miracle of the volatile trade, right? Andres is in, Stan is in. Get in while you still can. This is a ridiculous price. Again, I just want to make sure that's not 1997 for life. It's only 997.
That is correct. Much to my dismay,
Pearl is in.
it is
Yeah.
correct.
Pearl Chan is in. All right, Pearl. Nice. I love it. We got a lot of people in, but keep typing it in. Yeah.
I love some of
lifetime.
the members saying, "Hey guys, don't worry if you've never traded options. Nate will teach you." 'Cause those are some of my members who are saying that. Thank you guys. That means
Yeah.
a lot to me because I know
Absolutely.
I know a lot of
Yeah.
people with other programs. They said I've never done it before. Can I learn? And it's been a lot of fun to do those live classes and see the light bulb go off. People not thinking, oh, options are complex or this style of trading is tricky or it's crazy risk, and then realizing, wait a minute, I can do this with $60 and set up a trade in a couple minutes and set up a target. So
I know. You
we're
could
gonna
have
do it live.
$200 trade running in both sides. Piece of cake, right? Man, I just, you got it, man. You got it covered. And I got to tell you, a lot of people say, oh, don't worry, I can teach you about options. But they're not a good teacher of options, where it's like you're a natural at teaching options. So if person hasn't done it before, don't worry about it. He's going to teach you how to do it. No problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Nate, one of the big questions that came up here was, is there a particular day when you issue these alerts, or could they occur randomly throughout the week?
So we typically trade them on Thursdays or Fridays.
Okay.
That's my go-to. Now I'll give you guys a little sneak, a little hint. Okay, so I told my members about this on Saturday. You guys can write this down. This one's free of charge. One of the reasons I like to do trades on Thursday and Friday, if I'm trading it for 11 or 14 days, is because for the same timeline, I sneak 2 weekends into the trade.
Oh,
And those
Okay.
weekends get those big
Sneaky.
moves. So if you put on a
Yes.
trade on Monday and you give it 10 days, you're closing out the next Wednesday. You do this on Thursday and you're giving 11 days. Now you're sneaking in 2 weekends on
Yeah.
the same time. And as
Oh,
we
yeah.
know, we learned yesterday, weekends create big moves. And those big
News
moves.
flow theory, right? News
Yep.
flow theory. News keeps moving after the
That's
close on
Exactly.
Friday.
And once again, you're in that 1.5% bracket up or down from when you enter. And those big moves are going to be music to your ears.
We've seen like 5 weekends out of the last 8 move 1.5 just on the one day by themselves, let alone the bonus 10 days you
love
get
it.
in the trade.
I love it.
So
Yeah. I can't wait to get going. I get all jacked up when I see somebody crack the code that's young and dynamic and as intelligent as you are. And I know this is just going to be one of the best experiences anybody could get in the market. I can't wait. So it's one trade per week, but it's not the exact same day every week.
yeah, it'll be Thursday or Friday each week. I keep you guys very up to date on these trades. I'll say, hey guys, we're closing. Give me a couple hours. We'll reload because that's the most fun, right? You put on a trade, you hit your target. An hour later, you got the next one out there ready to make money again, and so
Yeah.
you get to kind of reload and recharge. But yeah, we'll do one a week on average. If there's something
Cool.
going on, I'll say, hey guys, let's wait till tomorrow and load it up and no panic, and we're trading in both directions, so we're not
Yeah.
gonna miss a move, which is
That's true.
I-
And,
I
and
see-
Nate, Jack, one little follow-up question. Is there a particular time of the day when these come out? Nate, do you like to wait closer to the close of the day, or?
I do. I trade near the close on almost all the time. So between 2 and 4 p.m., right around 2:30 is kind of my go-to to get into a trade. I like just to see how the day's shaping up and then, put on that trade. But the exits, people are asking, do the exits come at a certain time? No, they're automatic. You don't even do it. You don't even have to wait for an alert from me. You just, as long as you follow the instructions, you close your computer, you walk away, go play Pebble Beach, and let that trade hit while you're out there, not even checking on your phone, which is what my lifestyle kind of demands. Because I have 7 kids. Most people know that I'm pretty busy, but I also am doing a lot of work here. Meeting with our team and all that kind of stuff. So if I was having to stare at the computer waiting for a pop to get out and manually exit and then send an alert, I'd be cooked. I could never do that. But thankfully, I don't have to because these automatic exits, they work beautifully. And I know a lot of my members have been saying that as well in the chat. So thank you for all of you guys who have backed me up on how fun it is to trade this way.
It sure is. I see a lot of questions about, is this type of strategy or is this that type of strategy? I wouldn't get too concerned about it because you can't just put a one word to describe it. You have to realize that it's not what strategy you use, but how you use the strategy. So come and watch him teach you the strategy live. And after 100 days, if you don't like it, you're not getting the results you want. Even if you made 50 grand, call and get a refund. But we can't teach the strategy here. There's a little more to it than that. So get into the members area. Ray just asked a question.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, just come in, learn the strategy. Don't try to guess at the strategy because a 1 word or 2 words is not going to describe it. He has obviously a very unique way to do it. If it were just that simple as 1 or 2 word description, everybody would do it. Learn his way to do whatever the strategy is, and you'll be way further ahead of the game. I wouldn't stress it. Just
And
wait
that's
until
exactly
100 days go by and see if you've made your 50 grand, whatever it is you want.
Yeah, that's exactly why I am careful about that, and I do the classes, Jack, because I started out, people would ask, oh, is it a certain type of trade? I'd say, yeah, it's that, but not what you think, because people
Right.
would, and then I'd get guys on the chat, hey Nate, I tried doing that strategy the way you said, and I lost money or I didn't work, and I'm thinking, well, you didn't even learn the way I said. You just took,
Yeah.
the the trade structure and tried. So not to belittle anyone, I just think you got to understand the how we execute, how we balance those 3
Right.
elements is the entire point here.
That's the
So,
strategy. Yeah.
and I need the live class to teach you that. So that's why I'm
Right.
doing it for free for every member.
Right.
No extra charge to learn the strategy. You can then take it, run with it, do it with your own trades, your own stocks, whatever you want to
Yeah.
do, but learn the whole strategy first.
I thought I was optimistic. Sidney Thomas says, at 87, I still got the lifetime deal. Now that's optimism.
Way to go, Sydney.
Sydney,
Sydney, I love
Sydney,
it.
we got to hear from you, man. I want to hear how well you're doing with this. Promise me you're going to write in and tell us how well you like this. 87 years old, getting the lifetime deal. That's a guy, that's an action taker. And you know who makes all the money? Action takers. Way to go,
Absolutely.
Sydney.
That's so fun.
I love it. I love it.
Someone asked about the bonus. So the bonus is just a little guide I put together because I like to do something special for my lifetime members. I mean, the deal is already crazy, so I guess I didn't have to do anything special, but I like to do something a little special when I can. So I just put together a little report for you to walk you through how you can do this on other assets. So if you're thinking, this sounds pretty cool, I'd like to do this on Apple, I'd like to do it on Tesla, I'd like to try it out on Bitcoin. As a lifetime member, you'll get a little report that kind of walks you through how to do that on some of those bonus tickers, just as my gift to my lifetime members, because I like to try to do whatever I can.
These guys are going after it. Daryl says, Daryl said, this is John, I'm 75, laugh out loud. You can do it. I love it that you're doing this because every single one of you, like I said, on here, if you're trying this out, if you're new to Nate, every one of you has a talent and ability to accomplish all the things Nate's students wrote into him about what they're doing. And I'm not talking about chump change. I'm talking about guys got 5-figure profits, right? Big, big, big stuff. And like I say, I think the people are going to make more money with this than anything else you have, and they're going to have more fun doing it because, again, I can't wait to see it. I just want to see how much am I going to make when it's up, how much am I going to make when it's down, because it ain't going to matter. And I'm all jacked up, brother. You got me going. So let's get started. This is going to happen this week, and I'm down.
We're not waiting around. We are not waiting around.
I'm down like 4 flat tires. Let's go.
Jack, you are the master of analogies. I love it.
Hey, Jennifer. Jennifer's one of my all-in students. Thanks for being here, Jennifer. This has been so fun because the journey has been really interesting for me. I started out thinking, how am I going to do this? Then I had some time thinking, there's no way this is ever going to work.
That's what I thought.
Then I had some time thinking, oh, wait, I think I've got it. And then we've had 6 months of actually doing it. And that's obviously the most
I
fun.
know.
So
that's where I got to tip my hat to you, man. That you've cracked one of the hardest things in the world. And you're one of the young guys too. That's what's so impressive about the way you look at the market and really the way you have these structured. That's pure brilliance. Really, it really is. I love what you've done here. Proud of what you've done. You should be proud of yourself too. Everybody needs to invest in themselves. Get this lifetime deal. That's the one you want.
Absolutely. And Nate, I know that Masterclass is coming up, and I believe that Delaney shared that it's on Thursday. Has a time been established, or is that in the works still?
It'll probably be 2 p.m. Raleigh because we're going to look to get it at the end of the day. So we'll do the master class and then be able to trade it live. The only reason I didn't make it official is because if we get a little move tomorrow, if we get a certain move tomorrow, I'll rush it and say, let's go live today and do it in real time. I don't want to, I don't want to let my class dictate the best opportunity. If we get the
Right.
best opportunity, I want to say, let's go, let's make some
Right.
money. So
Smart.
that's the only reason I haven't made it fully official. But the plan is Thursday. Again, normally it's Thursday or Friday when we do these trades. They're very mechanical, and usually, just to be fully honest, usually it doesn't matter. You could trade it on Thursday or Friday, and you'll end up with the same result. But every once in a while, you'll I don't want to give too much away here. We'll talk about this in the class.
Yeah.
But every once in a
Do
while,
it
you'll
in the
get a
class.
move.
Save it for the paying customers that are in that class.
Yeah,
They'll
every once in a while,
appreciate
you'll
that.
get something that dictates, okay, we want to go now, and I'll kind of talk them through
That
that.
makes sense. So
On the
people,
class.
when you join, folks, you're going to get an email notification. You're going to be advised as to when the master class is. If you can attend, that's awesome. If you can't for any reason, they're always recorded, and the master class will be in your members area where you can watch it. But you're going to try, if you can, especially on this first one. You know, you want to be there live, see what Nate's doing, how he does it, and ask him questions.
And I'll send out the trade alert whether you're in the class or not. So we'll do the trade live. I'll show you my broker to do it live, but I'll send out the alert too. So if you can't be live watching over my shoulder, you'll still
That's
get the
right.
trade details and be able to and be able to do it that way. So
You
either way, you're covered.
Only a real man trades live. A lot of people are in our industry. They talk the talk. They don't walk the walk. You want to see a guy make some money live right in front of your eyes? Join him for his live class. Nate is the real deal.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it's most people, are waiting for something to be super complicated. They're waiting for me to go into a brokerage account they've never heard of. And no, guys, this is just stacking it up using a mechanical edge, swinging the bat, and then understanding how to structure the trade, because you got to have those elements together to make this work. Otherwise, you're just going to be fighting. I mean, Jack, I think you probably agree with this. What most people do is they just fight with options week in and week out. They pay too much, they fight the market move, and it's just a battle. So if I can just show you how to not fight against yourself when you put these trades on, I think that's half the battle right there. And then, by the way, if you can wake up not caring whether the market bounced up or bounced down overnight, that's a heck of a feeling.
Yeah.
And to June's question, we're trading major indexes, the SPY, the QQ, things with massive volume that everyone's going to get filled easily. They're going to have tight spreads. All the data is based on those assets. That's what we're trading.
And they're the ones that are most likely going to give you that small movement you're looking for, Nate. And some people are asking the question like, well, I guess the only way you lose is if the market doesn't move at all. And it made me wonder, look, which could happen. But you're looking at these major indexes being flatlined for what, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood of that is almost non-existent.
So the way that most people lose on trying to trade both sides, well, number one, they trade regular options, which is a death knell, in my opinion.
And you already showed that huge spread.
Yeah. Number two, they get that rare situation where the market just contracts and doesn't go anywhere. So that's a loss. I could lose that way too. But the other way, the sneaky way that most people lose, is they get a big move up and then the market settles back down and they end up back in the box and they take a loss there. That's why we use targets. That took, just to give you an idea, that took the win rate from around 50% to 80%, just that one switch alone, getting out when it exceeds your move. Is the biggest game changer of the whole deal that most people trade their whole lives and don't realize that they
I've done that so many times. Bought it, seen it go up, didn't make my move, woulda, shoulda, coulda, seen it come back down, and I'm cutting it for a 50% loss when I had a easy 50% gain. That's why I say you got this dialed in. There's not one component of this that you haven't thought out and perfected. And I'm not surprised at an 85% win rate, because this is the real deal. The real guy trading it, trading his own money live. What a commitment. That's a confidence builder for any of you out there that need a confidence boost. Just work with Nate live. He's doing it live, right? Nothing gets better than that.
And we have a lot of fun too. It's fun.
Is there a possibility, some other quick questions that I written down here. Nate, is there a possibility you could get exercised using this strategy? Is that a possibility?
Zero possibility the way that we do it. I'll walk you through it, but 0% chance.
No one wants that. Yeah, that's not part of the deal. No.
Right. And then the absolute last question, and I think you already addressed this, Jack, but it keeps on coming up. So what level options is this is this options level 2 that people are going to be asking their broker to give them?
Not asking,
Tell
tell
them.
them.
I mean, let me put it this way. What level option
Well,
do they need to have to trade
two,
this?
two. But here's the thing, we went through this in my live thing when I was in Jacksonville. We were talking about this lady can't get level 2. I said, listen, don't ask them, because then they act like they're in the position to decide whether or not you get it. Instead, tell them you want it. Tell them just give it to me. And when you talk to them about it, you have to use certain buzzwords. If you when you open your account, if you say to your broker, my goal is preservation of capital, I hate risk, I hate losses, guess what? You ain't going to get nothing for options.
That's true.
If you tell, even if that's your goal, just tell them, I want to take risk. I'm as aggressive as it gets. I love options. I understand that I can win and lose. Now, you don't have to do all the strategies with level 2 and level 3, but you just have to tell them that you know what you're doing, you're willing to lose, and you want to. And if you don't give me level 2, I'm going to another brokerage.
Well, what I've been telling my members a lot, Jack, is if they say, "Oh, they don't want to give me level 2," which just that sentence alone makes me angry. But
Yeah, I mean,
what I've been telling people is, guys, doesn't it make you a little nervous that they want you stuck with a certain level?
yeah,
Doesn't that tell you that maybe they're getting some advantage out of you only having
holding you
level one
down.
Level
options?
1,
And
yeah.
by the
Yeah,
way, the stats are
holding
that
you
they are.
down.
So yeah, I think it's not a good plan to stick with being, whatever the broker gives you, and
Yeah,
however they want to take advantage of you, that
yeah.
you just go
Yeah,
along for
just
the ride.
just tell him, give it to me. My friend Jack McDonough, he started doing this stuff, and he calls me up. He says, Carter, it's been a week. I haven't gotten approval. I said, well, call him back up. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to call him. This time I'm going to tell him, you either give it to me right now or I got all my paperwork filled out to go to Tasty Trade or whatever, right? They go, okay, you got it. So
Yeah,
if push comes
exactly.
to shove, they're not going to
You're the
lose you
customer.
over an option
Yeah.
approval, right? Just say, I want it. I understand.
Okay, folks, that is the full presentation. If you have any last minute questions, you can go ahead and post them in the chat right now. If you gave us your name and phone number, we have passed that on to our sales team. If they haven't contacted you already, that's because they're dealing with a lot of inbound calls and they have to get through the inbound calls before they make outbound calls. So don't worry if you've given us your phone number and are expecting a call and you haven't gotten it yet, they will get to you for sure. And you've also locked in your price with the webinar special today by giving us your name and phone number. Even if for some reason they don't get a hold of you today, they get a hold of you tomorrow, you're still locked in for that price. Joe, got your info here. I'll pass that along as well. Sandra asked if we have a favorite brokerage for these trades. So it doesn't really matter which brokerage you use. Any of the major brokerages will work. Schwab, Interactive, Tasty Trade, Robinhood, E-Trade, Fidelity. There are lots of them. The key, as they were just discussing, is getting that level 2 options, that option spreads permissions. I just posted a link in the chat or I just posted a message in the chat with a link to our guide for getting level 2 clearance in your account. They talk about what Nate and Jack were just talking about as far as kind of what to tell them and all that. It's one of those things where they really are kind of preventing you from doing the best kind of the trading because it's not riskier, it's safer, it's just a little more complex, but you have Nate putting these trades together for you, taking the complexity out of it, telling you exactly what to put in, your brokerage account for the order. So the complexity is done by Nate. It reduces the risk. It reduces, all of the negative aspects of it. So it's a safer trade than doing just a basic options trade where you buy a call and you only make money if it goes up, or you buy a put and you only make money if it goes down. So they imply by telling you, no, 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 you don't want to do that. They're kind of, implying that like, oh no, this is a risky thing. It's really just to their advantage that you only, trade basic options. So, by all means, click the link that's in the chat, take a look through the guide if you don't have those permissions, and that will give you a good idea on how to get them in your account. Let's see, what will be the name of the call since I get a lot of spam calls? So if you gave us your phone number and you're expecting a call from us, it should say Prosperity Pub, which is what's above my head in the video here. It should say Prosperity Pub in the caller ID, but it does depend a little bit on which like phone carrier you have as to what it comes up as. That's determined by phone carriers, not by us. We submit it to the phone carriers. They can update it however often they want to update it. So it should say Prosperity Pub, but it will likely be the 904 number that I posted in the chat a couple of times as far as what number they're calling from for those that requested a call. The option link guide. So if you're talking about, Sharon, are you talking about what I was just talking about, the guide to getting level 2 options? If you just look in the chat, like right above your message, there should be a link there that says investpub.com/level2 guide. Should be right in your chat. We had a few people just post their name and phone numbers again, or I shouldn't say again, but just posted them. Let me get that over to our team. If anybody has any last minute questions, this is your last chance. We're going to close this out in just about 2 minutes. Let me get this information over there. Got you, Joe. Got you, Mark. For people that put in their phone numbers and their email addresses earlier in the webinar, didn't have a chance to individually, acknowledge you, but we did get a whole ton of people's info. So don't worry if we didn't acknowledge you individually. Let's see. If you're a member, how do you access the program? So once you join, within a few minutes of purchase, you should get an email to our members area. Our members area is called One Click Trading, and that's just the name of the platform that we use for our members area. So you'll get a link for your One Click Trading access, and then once you get into One Click Trading, it'll show you this program at the top. It'll say two-way options. And if you own other programs that also use the one-click trading platform, whether it's from Prosperity Pub or another brand, like all your stuff for any program that uses one-click trading will appear there. So if you do have multiple programs, you just want to search at the top for two-way trading, and then that will give you access to the members' content. All the training, all the trade alerts, all the trade tracker, everything that's in there. Sharon, I'm going to send you a direct message with the link. All right. All right, folks. Well, this is a great program for times like these where volatility is king, and the advantage to using this strategy in a time of volatility is that this strategy doesn't matter whether the market's going up or down. It just matters that it moves, and volatility means movement. So this is like the perfect strategy for dealing with the current times. And the discount that's available for you for being on this webinar today is tremendous. You're getting 2 years for less than the retail price of 1 year. And then you also have the option for under $1,000 to upgrade those 2 years to a lifetime membership and never have to pay another fee. And that lifetime membership also gets you a bonus report, and lifetime membership is also transferable. I'm not sure they mentioned that in the webinar, but A lifetime membership is transferable, meaning that if at any point you decide to stop trading the strategy and you want to give those trade alerts to someone else, you can gift them to somebody else, or you can leave them to somebody in your will for when you pass on. So lifetime membership means three things. You never have to pay for this again. It's transferable to somebody else, and you get a bonus report that shows you how to apply this strategy to stocks outside of the ones that Nate covers. An incredible deal. So for $2,285, you're getting lifetime for less than the retail price of 1 year. So tremendous opportunity to get that discount today. If you just go to the website, if you go to prosperitypub.com, you will not see that price. That's only for that prosperitypub.com/win. It's only for people that are on that webinar today. And after however many hours after the webinar, I don't know how many hours they let it run, that link will be gone. It'll just go to the regular price. So it is indeed a special for people that attend the webinar, not something that we just normally have available and call it a sale or whatever. Let's see. Sandra got your number. Larry got your number. We do have a couple people asking for a replay. So if you would like to see a replay of this presentation, you can put your name and email address in the chat, and we will email you a link to a replay of the presentation. But Mark, I got your email address here. Do, do. All right, I'll give everybody a minute to give me, if you do want to replay, I'll give you a minute to give me your name and email address in the chat. All right, got you, Alice. And then we're going to close this sucker out. Enjoy our happy hump day. It's Wednesday. Lewis asks, can you get the lifetime anytime within the year? Yes, you can always upgrade to lifetime. The question is, what will the price be? So that $9.95 upgrade to lifetime is a webinar special. If you wait a week or a month or 6 months to upgrade to lifetime, it's going to be whatever the price is then. So not a pressure tactic, just the truth. It will never be cheaper than $9.95 to upgrade to lifetime. It will likely be more expensive. But by all means, you can get the 2-year membership. Hopefully profit well from it and use those profits to upgrade to lifetime. And even if it's more, it'll still be well worth it. So, let's see. Alice asking about a payment plan. I don't think at this price point there's a payment plan available, but the person that can answer your question is our sales team members. So if you're looking for potentially a payment plan, either call that number 321-888-3962, or if you gave us your number, we'll call you and you can ask them about that on the phone. It's possible that if you get the VIP over the phone, which would make it a over $2,000 purchase, it's possible that they can split that up into a couple of payments, but I can't promise that. It's usually when we do a payment plan, it's for like a very expensive program like All Access or something like that. That's thousands of dollars. But it's possible. I just don't want to promise that. Let's see. A couple more replay requests I'm going to copy over here. Not you, Steven. Or Stefan. Sorry, Stefan. All right, Alice, we'll give you a call regarding payment plan. All right, folks. Well, I think that's about it. I'm going to close this out. We appreciate you being here and sticking with us through the end. This was a long presentation, lots of awesome information. Jack and Nate did a great job, and Raleigh as well, helping out, helping get that information out. And Nathan's an awesome educator and trader, and really can't say enough good things about him. So if you're considering, getting another program from somebody, Nate is an awesome, awesome, person to follow. And a number of people have asked throughout the webinar, and I've been answering them in the chat that, you know, how many trades are there, and how often the trades come out. As you mentioned, like it's a weekly program. They typically come out on Thursdays, but it's not guaranteed to be a Thursday. However, there are some weeks where Nathan will just put out a message and say, listen, conditions just aren't right. We're going to skip this week. We may do an extra trade next week, but he's not going to trade just to put a trade out, just to kind of, ring the bell and say we did something. He's only going to do it if the conditions are correct, wants that win rate to stay high, wants people to be successful, and he's trading with his own money too. He's not going to put his own money on something he doesn't believe in. So, really, a great guy to follow in trading. And let's see, I'm on the web now. If I sign up, will the lifetime deal appear after? Yeah. So if you're buying through the website, if you're buying through prosperitypub.com/win, you have to start with the 2-year deal. And then on the next page is the offer to upgrade to the VIP lifetime for $9.95. If you do it over the phone, you can do it in one step and just pay. It's the same price either way. It's $12.90 plus $9.95, so it's $22.85. But so it's $22.85 all in for the lifetime. Whether you do it online or whether you do it over the phone, if you're doing it over the phone, they're just going to do it in one step and just charge you the $22.85. If you're doing it online, you have to start with the 2-year for $12.90, and then you pay the difference in the second step. But you don't have to put all your information in again, whatever. It's really a simple, like 2-click process. So yeah, if you're looking for lifetime online, you're not going to see it immediately. You need to start with the 2-year deal and then do it on the next page. All right, folks. We've been talking about this for almost 2 hours now. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sticking around. Write down the phone number. I'll put it in the chat again. Oh, you may have seen 2 phone numbers. You may have seen one on the screen and one in the messages that I'm posting. Either number works. The 904 number that I posted earlier, that I'm posting again now, it just skips the menu system and takes you straight to our sales team. It's the same as dialing the number that was on the screen. But if I were you, I would write down this phone number, because very often, even though we've been doing this for 2 hours now, as soon as we close the webinar, question pops in your head and you don't have anybody left to ask. So go ahead, write down that phone number. That's how you can get a hold of us. Even if you bought already and you just want to have some contact information, you can do that. You should get an email within a few minutes of purchase to get into the members area from what's called one-click trading. That's the platform that's used for the members area. And then inside there, you're going to look for 2-way options, and it shouldn't be too hard to find. All right, folks. Again, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and rest of the week. Remember, the market is closed Friday for Good Friday. And so we have today, tomorrow, and then back open again on